All right, let's see if we're going live here. Let's see if we're going live here. Looks like it. Looks like it. All right, let's hit the record button. There we go. Welcome, everybody. Another Sunday morning, August 31st. We are in, let me just shut these audios off. We are in Hash Church Season 11, Episode 35 today, if you can imagine. Shout out to everyone that's in the room. I see the Woolly Farmer and the Dirty the Grower and the Uterus Spaceship and John Maddox and James and Buddy Weeds and Vega Man 66 and Boro Josh and Alex Techman. I appreciate you guys for always being here. I meant to come in and chat with you guys this morning, but yeah, things got going here pretty quick. We'll see how we go today. I did send out the link very late. We'll see who shows up. We'll see who shows up. I got some beautiful flavors to puff on today while we are here. Welcome, Caleb. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing really good, man. I got 14 new flavors to smoke on today, so I'm pretty stoked.
I've got some new stuff to smoke on as well. I'm at Canifest
Ooh.
today. It's all nice and overcast here in Arcata.
Okay, Arcata Canifest, hey?
Yeah, string cheese is going on for 4 hours tonight.
So that's I was gonna ask you if this is the one. Damn, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Little string cheese incident, man. I'll tell you, the first time I ever saw string cheese was in Vancouver and Whistler. It was kind of, they did a Vancouver show, they did a Whistler show. It must have been like, fuck, I want to say like the 90s, like 90 something, where they played this small venue in Whistler. There's never been a concert since. It was so insane. People were dressed like chickens, for God's sakes. Here, let me put it on gallery so they can see. We got a little foam melt there. Ooh.
So this right here is a test wash of the Band-Aid haze that Buddy Laro
Oh.
is giving out little samples of. You can see it's just so glassy and sheeny, but if you really
Oh
look
my
at it, it
God.
looks like mostly stalks, like all these long flowering things, just smaller heads and abysmal yield. But I'm so excited to smoke this.
Dude, it is crazy how the haze is, it's tough on the hash maker. Um, but boy, it's always been my favorite, like since very, very long ago. I've told the story many times when my wife was like, "Oh, we should name our son Hayes for his middle name." And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, seriously?" She's like, "Yeah, you always got so excited about the haze. You'd be like, it's the haze, it's the haze." And so she wanted to attach that excitement to our firstborn son's name. So he became Tosh Hayes. That is the truth. I want to quickly shout out our sponsors because I just let you in and got right into conversation. So I want to give them their comeuppance as they are a big deal to Hash Church. So just give me a quick second here. Ooh, okay, we recording in progress. I stopped that and then I started it again. I need a dab, Caleb. I need a dab. All right, shout out to the Press Club, trusted by top hash makers from around the world. Oh, Etienne wants in real quick. Trusted by top hash makers from around the world since 2016, the Press Club is your one-stop shop for award-winning solventless gear. From press bags to wash bags to presses to vessels, you'll find everything you need from wash to press. We are big fans of the Press Club here at Hash Church and what they're doing in the community. So we're excited to have them on board as an official sponsor for Hash Church. Made in the USA, patented pink stitch, zero blowout guarantee, a small family-owned business, and free expedited shipping for $75 and more with international shipping available. You can visit them at thepressclub.co, www.thepressclub.co, and use the code HashChurch to take 10% off of your purchase. So yeah, those guys are awesome. They've been giving away spoons and other really cool things. So thank you guys. Can't say enough about, we'll put these guys last. Can't say enough about Puffco. Ignite your dabbing journey with Puffco. Puffco has revolutionized the art of dabbing, bringing concentrates to the world with unmatched style and innovation. From the pocket-sized Puffco Pivot, I hit it yesterday, delivered portable 3D chamber flavor to the Peak Pro. I also hit that yesterday. The ultimate smart rig with Bluetooth precision and massive clouds, and the modular proxy. I did not hit my proxy yesterday. I just got to be honest. Redefining versatility with its sleek, customizable design, Puffco sets the gold standard for hash enthusiasts everywhere. Their cutting edge tech has made dabbing approachable, flavorful, and fun, inspiring a global community of concentrate connoisseurs. We're beyond stoked to have Puffco as a proud sponsor of Hash Church, fueling our passion for sharing the love of hash with the world. Shop the Pivot, Peak, Pro, Proxy, and more at puffco.com and join the dabbing revolution. And now, of course, last but not least, my company, Bubble Bags. We stand out as the premier choice for water hash extraction, and it's no surprise why. We are the original innovators who set the standard for quality and performance. Crafted with durability in mind, these bags come with a lifetime warranty, ensuring you're covered for years of consistent use. The team behind Bubble Bags takes pride in our pioneering legacy, backing every product with unwavering confidence and a commitment to excellence, making us a trusted go-to for enthusiasts and professionals alike seeking top tier hash extraction results. www.bubblebag.com with hashchurch10 as your code. You'll get that discount. How's it going, Etienne?
Oh, another day in paradise.
Another day in paradise. All right. Well, I'm going to get the universal heater turned on and the bong finally cleaned. Man, I'll tell you, that was,
Yay, that
you
was
would,
nasty.
it was really nasty, dude. Like, I'm quite certain it was about 6 or 7 grams of reclaim that came out of that thing.
Do you recycle your reclaim or you just toss it?
Yes and no. I have in the past. I've given it to people. This came out and it was so disgusting. I tossed it. And, I do a thing where, I put a little extra water in and I thought, if I'm lucky, this is all going to pour out. And 99% of it poured out and one big glob got stuck in the neck. And then, like, it was just like a nightmare. It looked like peanut butter that someone just like, spread on the inside of the ship. And, yeah, it made it a
Stop, you're
lot
giving me
harder.
cotton mouth.
It made it difficult, man. Let me tell you. I want to shout out the Fraser Valley Rosin group. These guys can be found at fraser.valley.rosin3.0 on Instagram. And I got a ton of jars from these guys the other day. They got all sorts of fun little graphics. Funny enough, I posted a couple of these and someone actually got mad at the graphics. What kind of stupid fucking graphic? I'm like, dude, it's just fun. I think it's all good. It's like, what a waste, all that glass. It's like, well, it's a jar. You have to put the hash in it. Like, should we put it in parchment again? Was that like a good idea? Let it all dry out.
Yeah, I saw those. The only thing I saw was the copyright infringement stuff. That's the
Yeah,
only
it's
thing
all
that
it's
I
all
see.
it's all black market. It's all gray market. So they're
Right.
not worried about any infringement whatsoever. Although I will say that with cartoons, copyright, how long does copyright last? It's like 30 years or something because
It can
Europe,
last up to 100 years depending on the copyright.
yeah, but
Because
there's
some
there's
of Disney's are just coming available, right? That's why there's a Bambi horror movie and some of the others because it took 100 years for those, but those were refiled. So I'm not sure of the
but
original
South
fight.
Park's
Maybe.
been making fun of Mickey Mouse for a long time, and they've got the best lawyers. They're the
Oh
ones
yeah.
that know when a copyright is over. And if you go on South Park and look at some of the stuff, I think I've seen the Looney Tunes on there, Donald Duck, like all sorts of
Well,
crazy shit.
that spans from when Mickey Martin, rest in peace. He was a edibles person here in the United States,
I
and
remember him.
you remember him. Just more explaining for people who don't know who he is. And so he
Yep.
put out a line of edibles that basically mocked and went after, like the Hershey's, the Almond Joy, and things like
Yep.
that. And those people are fucking litigious, and they went after him and that. So that was the only thing that I could see that was a concern. But yeah, I mean, beautiful rosin is beautiful rosin, but how it's packaged, yeah, it should be in jars and things like that. We're not going back to parchment and stuff like
Oh
that.
my God, dude.
But there'll be another advancement, right? Somebody be like, "Oh, it can't touch a jar at the bottom, and it'll come in suspended levitation so that it is, refrigerated and kept in its,
Oh my
cryogenic
God.
perfection."
Nano bits of metal in the hash that allow it to magnetically float above the, yeah, I could see it getting as ridiculous as we're willing to take it. But I'm gonna hit this money ball anyway for a morning rip.
I guess I should light this fatty then. I rolled this joint. I see Caleb, you went to Canifest yesterday. Is that still going, or is that only a 1 day thingy?
Oh,
It is
he's
still going. It's a 2 day thing. Yesterday was like the hip hop day, and then today is like the jamming day.
So up in the
What's up
Emerald
with the bubble, man?
Triangle, there's a festival called Canifest where there's music and hash and it's bumping. And yeah, Caleb kind of showed us on our science stuff yesterday what was going on there. And he and his crew of cannabis misfits were out in full force and puffing tough and showing everything that's going on. So, what was the amazing thing about the day besides just all the great hash and music?
So it's like the third year that they've been doing Canifest. Today was one of the hotter days in Eureka, Arcata, in the coast here near Humboldt. It was like 70. And you could see who was the locals because they were wearing jackets and sweaters, and then the people that were coming into town were very much enjoying weather. The coolest thing I think about Canifest is honestly there's this glass blowing competition. Most people are used to the flower and hash competition portion, and they like removed the award show portion of Canifest this year and extended it. So they have one in October for the competition that they're running this year. And but the glass competition is interesting. It's called Glass Face, and last year they did it as well. And there's like a functional piece competition, like a non-functional piece competition, I think. And it's just really interesting because it's like a combination of all the different cultures in cannabis kind of converge here, and it's like right on the waterfront, in a public park. The other cool thing that's like not cannabis related directly that happens is there's a yearly like graffiti competition. So the entire walk along like the waterfront walkway in Eureka, they have a whole section that they let 100 artists tag, and then whichever one has the best tag um, wins something. And then all of the artists have their art on display for the next year until another 100 artists get to come in. And Eureka and Arcata are definitely towns that have a lot more murals than the average town. And I guess the Emerald Triangle is a lot more artists than the average triangle.
No, that's great because a decade ago, Chalice was trying to do that, right? With a not only with a hash competition, but also bringing glass. And I give Douglas Dougie Boy his shout out for that. Unfortunately, it was one of those that it got too big too fast, and it was just hard then to find venues, right, that will allow on-site consumption and glass blowing and all that's been really really tough in California. So I'm very happy to hear that that's happening again because that is such a crucial piece of the West Coast story is the glass on top of, the graffiti and stuff like that. So it sounds like it's becoming more and more of a celebration of, the true culture than just another swinger event, right?
Yeah, I shout out the glass community too. I'm sure D-Rec is a part of that in some way, shape, or form. He definitely helps PuffCon do their glass thing. He definitely helped Doug back in the day doing that. And D-Rec was one of the first glass blowers I met way back in the day when I picked up Slinger hitchhiking on the way to the Gorge shows in 98. I ended up picking up Jason Lee as well. Didn't know them for a hole in the head, but that's kind of how I ended up meeting those guys. And I had a bunch of trippy coincidences with Marble Slinger and his roommate Zach and this other guy who I had met all of them in 95, never seen them again till 98, and then met them all again within 30 days of being not seeing any of them for 3 years. It was definitely one of these trippy coincidences I had. But Slinger ended up moving up here, living in the garage just two doors over here, blowing glass, blasting out a ton of glass. He spent a lot of time up here. We did our degenerate art shows together at my gallery, The Melting Point. I have been talking to DREC recently. I've been trying to get a glass church organized where we get a bunch of these guys, 10, 20 of these guys up. And Contrabasso passed away recently. We're all getting older. Life is, ending for some of us. So it would be great to get as many as, Marcel Braun and all these epic guys, even Pedro Smiley from back in the day, Zach. There was a lot of these, when I met them hitchhiking, they were all living in Bellingham. And I'm telling you, there was an insane group of glassblowers living in Bellingham in the late 90s. Right as bubble bags was being created and formed, those glassblowers were a huge part of the bags going down the West Coast and making their way through Portland and through California, Northern California. Jeff Church, was one of our panelists here for many years, was huge for that. He would buy bubble bags in Vancouver off me and then drive them all the way down, the I-5 or whatever the road is there that goes all the way down. And it was a pretty cool little, that's how he linked up with the Bizarre Brothers, and the star rating became a thing. So it's a fun little history to follow it back. And the glassblowers were completely intertwined the entire time. When I met those glassblowers, I smoked only joints. And they were like, oh, Slinger was like, I got to get you smoking bongs. I kind of like jumped over the bong, the people that would just push a flower into a flower bowl and then rip bong rips of flower. I very rarely did that. I was kind of like, by the time Slinger got me into glass, it was stainless steel screens, a match, and full melt bubbling on the stainless steel screen. So yeah, you can imagine. I mean, I met those guys in 98 before I started the bubble bag company. And then they were with me the entire time as I started it. They would come up and hang out at my house a couple of doors down. It was pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie. So hopefully we can get a really good glass church with DREC helping curate. I'd love to get Slinger. I'd love to get Hops. I'd love to get Dizzle. I'd love to get Marcel Braun. So many, so many. I'd love to get Buck. There's a lot of great glass blowers that we could do on Glass Church. So it's in the works, and hopefully it comes to fruition here sooner than later. Welcome,
I look
Colin.
Well,
What's
look,
up?
Colin, that looks nice jar.
Nice. Yeah, this is what is this? This is Sour D Skittles mix. So I did a 50-50 blend on this.
Hey
And
Caleb, I see you're in a garden. What's that plant you're sitting next to?
I have to grab the gardener to get an intro, but there's some little backyard boogie going on here.
oh, yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, you're looking all incognito there, and I was like, wait, that's pot plant. Mhm. So I'm very excited about this glass church because yeah, I met D-Rec actually at the Chalice, and I have a little motherfucker from him and Toph. Because he
Nice.
posted the mothership, he made a motherfucker with upside down crosses and skulls all over it. It's great. And then when I won my case against the federal government, I had a bottle of Louis the 13th. I saved when I originally got the court case, and I bought it and saved it in case I won my case, because my lawyers and everybody said, you're not winning this case, dude.
Yeah.
Won the case, and then celebrated that bottle with my friends, and then I sent that bottle to D-Rec, and he etched it, and then I gave it to my business partner as a gift, and that's his decanter for his alcohol. Is a special Louis the 13th crystal carved done by D-Rec. And
That's
then
awesome.
yeah, so D-Rex solid, always just awesome cat. He had his own addictions and kicked it. He's been clean for, alpha alcohol for years, and he's been, shout out to him. And I've watched him on his journey as he, it's hard being an underground artist and, trying to keep life straight. And he went that hard road, cleaned himself up, and he's back at it stronger than ever. So mad respect and much love, because climbing out of
Yeah.
that hole, man, is fucking hard, and anybody who does it deserves respect.
Absolutely. No, I've known Direk for like 30 years. Like he was curly haired, young 20 something year old kid when I met him, and just an awesome guy.
And his appreciation for the art, as well as how he's done, he's helped curate, as you stated, and that's key. And I come from the art world, from going through college, and my world was printmaking, and to watch the rise from working at the Galaxy Gallery back in the 90s, right, when Snotty would come in occasionally with a pipe for sale, right, and then to see just how huge, right, because it really started with Snotty and him teaching people, and really that second generation, that full generation of dabbing. I mean, Bellingham, Washington was the fucking epicenter, right? I mean, look who all came from that whole mothership,
Dude.
all those people gathering together. I mean, literally the top glass blowers in the circuit, then it went on to teach whole other things. But that whole crew there in Bellingham going back is just epic. And
Well, you got to shout out Eli and Ezra. Okay, Eli and Ezra are these two brothers, and I can't remember if it was Eli or Ezra. I feel like it might have been Ezra. Um, Randomly one day bought like 10 or 12 Herbert Arnold torches from Germany. And I remember the GT torches were very small and had a couple of dials, but the Herbert Arnold torches were complex, and none of them had any idea how to really dial them in or use them. But he just went and bought these Rolls Royce of torches. I really had no idea just how crazy they were until I took a trip to Amsterdam and met up with Nate Dizzle and Steve Hops. And then I put them in my friend's van, who brought me his van to Amsterdam. He was supposed to be picking us up and driving us to Germany, but he drops off his van and says, I can't come with you. And I'm like, well, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, you just want me to drive your van from Amsterdam to Germany? This is like years ago. He had GPS, but there was no phone GPS. And his GPS, within about 5 minutes, someone pushed a button and it went German. So it was now speaking to us in German. So we didn't really understand what it was saying. And it was an old GPS that wasn't as easy as you thought to follow it. So we were basically driving blind to go meet up with Martin from Ruhr in Frankenthal, which is fucking butt fuck nowhere in Germany. Like this place is in the middle of fucking nowhere, dude. And if you go there, it's the most complicated, like the way the rivers and the canals. Oh my god. So that happened, and that's how I ended up bringing those guys. That's how those collaborations ended up happening with Ruhr and Dizzle and Ruhr and Hops. And I think one Ruhr Hops Dizzle, which I believe Flab 421 bought most of those bongs. But yeah, shout out to Martin as well from Ruhr. He was the European guy doing what the Bellingham guys were doing, but he was doing it in Frankenthal, and he caught the eyes of Skunkman Sam. And Dave always hit out of Ruhr bongs. Dave recognized that the rip you get out of a Ruhr bong just wasn't like the rip you get out of a gear bong or some of the other bongs. And to the naked eye, it just looks like a bong, but lo and behold, it is not. It was special. I was the only bong I ever had, a Bubbleman version of a pipe, was a Ruhr with Martin Bizzle. So shout out to Martin. I hope he's doing well. I know Ruhr doesn't really exist anymore, or maybe it's transferred hands to his son. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, the history of that company is pretty wild. To have that company, the headiest bong company, come out of Frankenthal, Germany, from a dude who's literally doesn't smoke bongs and just smokes like tobacco joints mixed with flour. It was super trippy. That there's no way that it should be. There's just the way that it is. You don't have to be any particular way. So embrace your hypocrisy.
Remember Zong?
Zong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the were like
yeah.
the Z, right? Remember that?
Yeah, my friend still has one. She loves smoking out of her zong. I mean, she's had it since college, right? You
Yeah.
know, they used to be thicker, but now they're really thin, you know. But that's happened to a lot of glass companies, right? They started off with a really nice, heavy, borosilicate, and then it got thinner and thinner, and the bases get thinner and thinner, all that over time, unfortunately, which
Yeah.
it's just the reality.
I'm thinking of I mean, Jerome is really stuck with the bomb. Like out of all the blast blowers from that era, he's really
Truly.
Yeah,
kept
he
with
had the
just
first mothership, right? Which was the heaviest of all, which is all the heavy marbles. But yeah, I mean, he's been solid, putting them out. I mean, they haven't been the easiest to find. I was fortunate when I worked at the Galaxy. He used to drive by in his van, and he'd just come in and just stack out a whole bunch of boxes, and we'd go through them and figure out what was what. And he would produce en masse in Mexico and bring them on up to the United States. And yeah, I mean, it was really the first decorated bong, right, that had some sort of fuming in it, right, in the base, a little bit of silver, a little bit of gold, whatever.
yeah.
That was a color changer, right? Whereas most of your regular, glass stuff, graphics and stuff was just straight glass. So they were really the first ones to put marbles in to really push that envelope. And the cannabis public responded. They liked that shit.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
Loved it.
that's a rad
Loved it.
guy. I've spent time with him in Las Vegas where he currently is, and it's awesome to see someone so true to form still sticking to the vision that they initially came in with. And I always respect that because most people don't understand how hard it is to be consistent like that. It's a very difficult thing to have that singular vision, keep going, not be influenced too much. I mean, sure, yeah, he's done rigs and stuff, but it's very much in his own style, which I've always kind of appreciated of him.
And
Well,
he
I will
survived
say
Pipe Dreams, right? Which was,
that's true.
how many people got lost in that fucking sweep, right? We
Too
saw a
many.
lot of good fucking manufacturers die on the vine quick, unfortunately. And we saw
Yeah.
Tommy go to fucking jail over his son's bongs, right? That his son was manufactured. Just dumb shit.
Yeah, it
Yep.
was pretty bad for sure. It was 95 was the year I met Slinger, but he wasn't a glassblower. He had just graduated from film school in Ithaca. And I met him near a cloner. And the only reason I know this is because I had a tape that I came home after meeting him in 98, picking him up on fish tour, hitchhiking. I just felt like I had met him before. And I went through all my Amsterdam tapes and I found a tape where you can't see his face, but you can hear his voice as clear as a bell. Like, yeah, I just graduated from Ithaca, blah, 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 blah. But he wasn't a glass blower yet. But that same year in 95 that I met Slinger, I went to, and I'd have to ask Adam if it was the cannabis in Amsterdam or the no good buds. I can't remember which one it was that year in 95 in November. But I went there and I met Jay Harris. I that Jerome Baker was there blowing glass in the back. That was in 95.
Yeah, man. And he's still doing it. Like, dude, I
I
rolled up.
know.
I rolled up to his. He was like, "Yeah, man, come down. We're doing this thing. We're just kicking it." Dude, I roll in and he's got like full table and he's just behind the flame, just spinning it. And I was just like, I love this. Like, yes, like you're just you're doing what I would do. Like, I just want to be doing it, like making it, and that's
Dude,
notable.
my hat always went off to the glass blowers because I am not willing to stare at a flame, to burn glass and inhale the toxic. Like I was always like, the first time Slinger showed it to me, I guess really Jay showed it to me. That was the first time I ever saw it. I was kind of like in Amsterdam, all baked and just off a plane. I really got to absorb it more from Slinger a few years later. And it was just like, I was like, everything about this is bad. This is like you're gonna get like sore arms, your eyes are gonna get pooched, you're breathing in random shit. And he was just like, you're not wrong, man. You're not wrong. Like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah,
Just
It's like,
fuming silver and gold right off the
oh,
with the
dude,
little
it's
thing in
a
their mouths, just puffing on it.
Dude, shout out to the glass blowers. Honestly, oof. I do believe there's a sacrifice that goes a little bit of, and don't get me wrong, like this was also in the hillbilly days. Now these guys have the most incredible hoods. They've got it set up much better. The glasses, some of them are incredible. Like I've seen some pretty expensive, like welder's goggle style that are just like, yeah, this is what you need.
Yeah,
The first time I wore the,
go
the
watch
what?
Yushin blow glass now and see how he does it. He does it
Right.
actually. I bought a piece from him that they did at the Corning School of Glass. So
Mm,
they which if you don't know, if you haven't, you should make, if you're a glass person. Corning School of Glass in New York is fucking epic. And when I went through there, I actually saw he had two pieces, and I ended up getting them both because they had a sale on. When do you ever see a Yushin? It was a combination between him and another glass blower. But
nice.
it's great that the Corning School of Glass is bringing in people like this to now teach and show and give demonstrations, right? Because not only are they doing it, they're teaching the other students and showing, because those guys have really pushed the boundaries and are always pushing the boundaries of glass blowing, and especially of glass pipes, as redisculators and things like that. I mean amazing. And the collabs he does are on par with some of the best art in the world. As a collector, I love to collect collaborations myself, because right, it's a creation between two artists, right? When do you get a Michelangelo and Leonardo together, in a collaboration, right? And that's you get in glass blowing, right, which is unique
Yeah.
combinations that you could not make or create or conceive otherwise, right?
Well, listen, when I first picked up Jason and Slinger, they would start sending me, and I think I have maybe 4 or 5 different ones from Jason Lee, prototypes of things that he was learning to make and hadn't been making yet. It hadn't been a thing yet. And so it was like, I mean, I got some of the first double bubblers when Jason learned that double bubbler seal and showed it to Slinger, who showed it to, like, it just blew up, and all the pipes suddenly just became these really lovely double bubblers for a short period of time there. I was incredible to be so close to these guys and not even really, I mean, I realized it was, they coincidentally showed up right as Bubble was born. Like I met those guys before
Did
I
you
was Bubble Man.
You need to document that stuff, take pictures of it, write stories about it, because that's part of glass history, especially those. Because I've seen pieces. My friend Kenny from Trichrome, he has one of the first motherships before they put mothership in the actual, in the stem. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I mean,
Yeah.
those pieces and things like that. I mean, people hunt those early quaves and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Collectors really appreciate those stepping stones that got us to where we are, to those percolators, to Swiss Perk, right? And what he did and the influence that has spread to others. That, I mean, it's wonderful, the influence that the glass has had, but it's continuously evolving, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, one thing I think should be said is like Slinger really brought the Eugene culture to the East Coast in a lot of respect. In Philadelphia, for those that are listening here, was a major hub for this idea of like one studio, many glass blowers in it. And Slinger, I'd love to, when we get him on, I'd love to have him talk about that time that he provided this space for all these other people. That like Illadelph came out of this. There's like countless glass blowers that came from this collective mentality. And I remember,
52nd Street glass, all that,
yeah,
right?
totally. Like I used to get on to Philly all the time to just like move stuff around. I'd go to the skate park, meet people at FDR. There was this one dude we used to call Hippie Wes, and Wes and I became super close. And there's just like this culture of like-minded individuals that were on this like in that vernacular of like pushing the envelope, but we're really into high quality herb and just really high quality water hash was like major in Philly for from like 90, really from like 2001 on. Like it was like this whole thing, Marcus. So you're right. Like I feel like Slinger was able to bring this kind of thing back and ignite this excitement. And a lot of those heads that came from there, because I used to get onto the Philly drum circle all the time in the late 90s and the early 2000s. That was a huge hub for all of us to kind of meet each other. And those that weren't on tour were off tour. And, just it was a really unique time. So I'd love to hear him kind of talk a little bit more about that because it's totally part of his world that he created.
But
It's really
Yeah.
this all started from what Marcus and Mila and others created in hash,
yeah.
right? Because we needed new ways to smoke, and none of the big companies knew or were touched into the culture to understand what was needed, right? We saw, the swing, right? The swing was the original titanium, right? And then its
I would
evolution.
take it back before the swing. For me, it was the mayor, and it was made by the Holy Smokes, Paul DeFelice and Terry, and rest in peace to Dustin Sunflower. They created this spoon that they bent and clamped to a blowtorch. So it was basically a spoon bent right over a torch, and then over the spoon, they had this like glass bell that went into a tube that went into a bong. And these guys had this cherry oil and honey oil back in the day. So they called it the mayor, the mayor of Nelson. We're going to have to sit down and consult the mayor. Let's talk to the mayor about this. And they'd blast everyone out. And of course, back then it was like 1100
Right,
degree
glowies,
dabs,
all glowy.
glowies. Like the reason they used the spoon, in fact, was that the oil wouldn't like blow off, because if it was flat it would blow off. But that thing, I'm
It would
telling you,
pool naturally,
it
right,
was
in the spoon.
it was the beginning of becoming higher than anyone had ever been on cannabis for our group. And it came out of the Kootenays, and those guys were the guys. They bring the mayor. I remember turning breeder Steve on to the mayor, and he was just like, oh my God, I have to have one of these. His big honey jar full of oil, and his mare that he'd go around just destroying people. It was something else. That was dabs before dabs. Then I would say maybe 4 or 5 years later, and you'd have to ask Hashmaster Kut, who's on the island. I don't know his actual real name, but I would say that he would know whether or not his influence was, he might have seen the mayor. I have no idea, but I definitely know I saw the mayor before I saw the little titanium swing dish, which I thought was like an improved version of the mayor, because it also had the little bell over top of it to catch the smoke. It was like a portable mini mare, because the actual mare was like, like a borderline propane torch, like a giant blue canister with like full hillbilly redneck level 17, like hilarious shit.
We had access to when in Can, this guy would come by with this hash oil, and the only way that we had back in the day before tools was going and buying those pucks of gunpowdered little pucks that you'd light, and you'd light them and charcoal, and you'd wait for the black to burn off, and it would be gray, and you'd scrape off the gray, and then that red charcoal, and you would drop the hash oil on it and do our best to catch it on, a funnel with a metal funnel with a tube or something like that to go directly over it. But yeah, there was really no implements initially, and that hash oil was always so hard to deal with, right? Because if you try to do it on the paper, your paper stuck to your fingers and you couldn't get it off, and it was just absolutely an unholy mess because there weren't dab tools. There weren't, all these specific types of implements that are now key components, but we had to implement, right? I guess even further than that, we all ruined our parents', knives by sticking them in the spiral heaters and doing hot knives, right? That was the other aspect of ingesting, right? And why are the tips of my knives rainbow colored? 18. I have no idea what happened. That's really weird. Anybody have any idea how that happened?
Dude, we used to take a soldering iron and put it on a block of wood, and then take a ball jar, a wide mouth, and drill a hole in the top and stick a tube on it, and then weld a plate onto the soldering iron, and then put a little piece of herb on it, and then put the glass over top of it and take pools of it. And that was like our first version of like, you know, making a homemade, vaporizer of some
And
sort.
remember how high you got off that shit too? And you're just like, holy shit, man, this is amazing.
We used to roll after skate sessions into my buddy Luke's house, and yeah, we used to made that thing in the garage. I'll never forget it. It's so funny. Of
Let me guess, you made a band, right?
course, no, we were just skateboarding, just being like, bored, being like, "Yo, what if we did this?" And my buddy Luke I'll never forget it. Just like stuck it right in the block of like a 2x4, and he's like, "I drilled a hole, put the thing in there." It's just
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy. The making pipes thing. My roommate almost got us completely busted from making a bong, if you can imagine. And I'll never forget it. We had the Terrence McKenna syzygy mushrooms growing in my closet upstairs. We had the cannabis grow in his bedroom through a secret wall, just two 400 light Optimark bulbs. This was like 90. And he goes out to go get the makings, if you will, of a bong. He's like, I'm going to make a mason jar bong. Got some mason jars. I'm going to set up two of them. Got some tubing. I'm going to use a big bolt as the bowl. I'm like, all right, dude. So I'm sitting with my buddy John, and we're in my big living room. And by the way, I'm also just selling weed. I have another secret door, in like a big tall secret door that when you push, it pops open, and there's like 4 shelves, and it was like 7 feet tall. And I had everything in there, except there was all a bunch of weed bags on my living room table. And I hear this, and I just look over at my buddy, and I'm like, that sounded like a cop knock. And we just moved my curtains ever so slightly. It was big. We were sitting in a bay window, like an old San Francisco style, right? There's a window, there's a window, there's a window, but you could pretty much fit a couch in there. And we just moved the drapes a little bit, and we see these two big cops, and my roommate with his hands cuffed behind his back and his head pointing down. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I just jump up and I tell my buddy, hide everything in the secret room, right? Probably louder than I should have, because really there was just a pane of glass separating me from the police officers that were out on my front deck. So I go out. By the way, the house reeks like weed, not just from us smoking it, but also from it being grown in the house. And this is Winnipeg, Manitoba, where they would put you in prison with psychopathic murderers if they caught you doing this in Winnipeg in the timeline that we were doing it in. It was very frowned upon, let's just say, like in like Louisiana, like really bad. And preface to the story, the day before, my roommate is fucking around with the light out on the foyer, out on the front deck, and he breaks it. And I remember that as I'm coming out, I'm like, oh, because I go to turn the light on right before I open the door and it won't go on. So I'm like, fuck, there's no light. Oh, okay. So I open the door and I like come out really fast and shut the door behind me. Well, cops don't like that. That's why I wanted to turn the light on. So they were kind of like, a little bit reactive. And this is the magic of the privilege that I happen to exist in this moment. In this moment where now there's only one thing left to do: for this guy to arrest me, force his way into the house, and uncover everything. But instead, I hear the voice of an angel. Echo Bravo 1. What? I said, that's my mom. That's my mom. He's like, pardon me? Paulette Richardson. She's my mother. She's on your radio. My mom is the 911 lady, the head 911 lady in Winnipeg. And I hear her fucking voice on his walkie-talkie. And he picks it up. He's like, you know, he says his cop shit, Paulette, blah, blah, blah. I'm at 168 Lenore Street. Do you have a son that lives here? I sure do. Are you with him now? Say hi to him for me. And I'm just like, holy fuck, this is super surreal. My roommate's like literally shitting bricks because he's convinced. Oh, yeah, by the way, what happened? My roommate stole a bolt from the handyman store down the street, got caught, got arrested, brought the cops to our grow. This is how this all happened.
The
And
bolt
so
for the bong for the bowl, right? Oh,
yes,
fuck
yeah,
off.
he didn't have money for it. He had money for everything else. He just was like a little short. He's like, I'll just take the bolt. So that brings the police to my house. And basically, they wanted him to prove who he was because he had no ID on him. So they needed him to go into the house and get a piece of mail as well as his ID to show that they're connected to this house. And all of that went out the window when they were like, does he have a roommate named Jason Noctigal? And she was like, yep, he sure does. That's his roommate. Okay, well, you guys have a good night. Bye-bye. Woo! It was just like that fast and that amazing. I am telling you, holy shit. Yeah, that was good. She got me out of a lot of trouble in Winnipeg, but I think that was probably the biggest one she doesn't know about,
So
unless she watches
did
this
that
episode.
scare you straight, Marcus?
No, no, not at all. It made me think we have to be
You were more
smarter.
empowered, right? You were like, oh, I
Well,
can't be touched.
it made me realize I have to be smarter. So I will be honest, I did move that roommate. That was my one and only roommate I ever had. I literally went and got him a place, signed him a lease, got a moving truck, put all his shit in the moving truck, physically put him in the moving truck, drove to his new place, moved all of his stuff into the place, put him in the place, and basically never saw him again.
That totally reminds me of this gravity bong. So gravity bongs, if people aren't aware, gravity bongs are a thing. Um, my roommate steals a cone off the highway, right? One of the traffic cones off the highway, right? There you go. That's a professional glass one there, right there, Bubble Man.
Yeah, this
So
is a ham
it's a
waterworks.
full-on 3-foot traffic cone, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna make this into a bong." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, "We're gonna make it into a gravity bong." I'm like, "Okay." So
That
he
is
goes out on the porch, takes a garbage can, fills it with water, right? We take the cone, which then it gets submerged, and just the top, like 4 inches, is sticking out of the water. So, of course, oh, we need to create a bowl. So, of course, what do? This is college. So, oh, we'll just take some aluminum foil, right? Because, don't do this, kids. That's just bad. Made a bowl, and then there we are on the porch. And yeah, then as we were on the porch, some guy from because we're in a not large town, drives by and sees security cone, and of course the cone has the stenciling on it, and proceeds to get out and confiscated a very now stinky cone. So we were able to do like 3 hits and then lost it he threatened to call the cops and shit, but fortunately that didn't go down. But yeah, I did not have my mother working as a dispatcher to get me out of that. It's one of those situations you just have to take it on the chin and, oh well, I guess we have to find another road cone, something.
that's
Don't do that again.
hilarious. Yeah, I'll tell you, I got out of like I remember one time being pulled over by a cop on a bicycle in Winnipeg, and he's writing me up a ticket, and I'm kind of like, I gotta drop my mom's name. So I'm like, oh, my mom's gonna be so upset. And he's like, yeah, well, everyone's mom gets upset about their kids getting tickets. I'm like, yeah, but mine works for the police. And no sooner had I said that I hear him ripping up the ticket. And I just hear him go, yeah, I don't give police people tickets. And he got on his bike and and drove away. And I had my buddy Jan visiting from Paris, and he was just like, what just fucking happened? Another time I came out of the bar with my buddy Sammy, and Sammy was kind of a big native dude, and he definitely looked away that if you saw him at night in any sketchy situation and you were the police, you would definitely be talking to him and asking him questions. So we got harassed by the police a lot. And we come out to my car and it has a hole in the back window. Someone smashed the back window and stolen our backpacks out of the back of the car. So we're like, fuck it, I'll just drive you home. We get in the car, we're driving, and we get pulled over. And he's just like, oh my God, dude, the broken window. Like he is going to fucking, he's putting it all together before the cop gets up to our door. He's like, this is what's going to happen, dude. Like he thinks we stole this car. This is going to be bad. And he comes up and he leans in and he's about to say something. He goes, Mark? Oh, Mark Richardson? And this guy, I didn't actually know him through my mom. He was our neighbor at the lake where my uncle now lives at the Big White Shell. This guy was our neighbor and he was a cop. And he comes over and he's like, oh, ha ha ha. And he's laughing. He's like, what happened? Someone break into your car? I'm like, yeah, they stole our backpacks. He's like, oh, you want to, write a report or whatever? I'm like, no, not at all. He's like, oh man. He's like, I was going to fuck with you guys so bad. And then like basically lets us go. And my buddy, the whole ride home is just like, I can't even fucking believe that just happened, dude. Like, what the fuck?
Because
I'll
he
tell you,
said he's
man.
probably gonna fuck with you because he thought it was a stolen car, right?
He would have. He would have. And he told us, he even admitted it that he was going to fuck with us. He was like, man, I was going to fuck with you guys so bad. I was just like, oh my God, like fucking just dodging bullets out here thanks to moms.
Did you ever like thank your mom randomly? Just like, Mom, I just want to thank you for things you have no idea that you did
Funny,
for me.
funny enough, yes and no, but the one cop that I thanked the most was the cop who arrested me with all the Compassion Club flower back in 98, because that led me to start Fresh Headies. And that was like this. I couldn't see the sacrifice or the value of losing that weed for those people. I just was like, this is all just bad. And then it turned into like, no, this is like a journey of transformation where you're going to go from one thing to another thing. And that other thing that you're going to go to is important and it's going to be needed in the world. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked that I got to tell him, I was like, man, there's people making hash all over the world thanks to you. Like, forget about the 16 pounds you took from me. There are metric tons of hashish being produced worldwide. Kind of thanks to you. I got to thank him and be honestly thanking him. I don't hate him. He's actually like, I think the chief of police in West Vancouver now, the guy that busted me, the constable that busted me almost 30 years ago.
No, thanking people for your journey, I think, is a key part of your own, journey. I years ago, I got kicked out of Catholic school after being caught with cigarettes and alcohol. 16, just on a choral competition, and got caught in our competition's hotel room with the son of the principal, and of course, his mother was one of the chaperones. So it was basically a death sentence. And when I remember sitting in the principal's office and him just reading me the riot act, kid, you're absolutely nothing. You're going to amount to nothing. You're your own worst enemy. You're not going to do shit with your life. And boy, let me tell you, if those didn't get tattooed on the inside of my fucking eyelids throughout my life, that, in moments of strife or when my back was against the wall, I thought of Mr. Coleman and those words, and they would just echo in my soul like, no, motherfucker, I am going to prove you wrong. I am, right? And he became that catalyst. And I wrote to him. He friended me on Facebook like a decade ago, and I was like, oh, I gotta tell him, because you gotta understand, I grew up in very rural Cajun country in Louisiana, very conservative, absolutely no discussion of cannabis. It might as well have been a death sentence or something like that back in the day. So I wrote him and told him, I was like, dude, when I was in the trenches and war and fucking shit was going down, what you told me fucking changed my life and became that motivation that sparked that within me. And I now run the oldest, medical cannabis dispensary in the country. And
Yeah.
this is what I do. And he was like, cool. sorry, kid. Did not know I said that. I apologize. Did not mean to say that because that's a really asshole thing to say to a kid.
But
And
is
I,
it? Is it? If it inspires, like, here's the thing. Like, this is an
right, that's where
important
I was, right?
discussion. Like, why does it move you to move mountains, but it might move the next person to become depressed and commit suicide? And then we create a culture where we're like, oh no, we like don't hurt anyone's feelings. Like, I'll be honest, I was doing YouTube videos there for a while, and I was also eating lots of dinners and getting a little heavier than I've ever been in my life. And I'll never forget, some dude came on and went, Bubble Man's getting fat. And I took that shit, dude, to like, oh yeah, motherfucker. Like, started work. I haven't stopped, in fact, started working out, like stopped consuming sugar the way I was, like changed my entire life through the inspiration of something that could be construed as bullying. Or, today where they're like, you can't say that, you can't body shame someone. It's like, well, I'll tell you, thank you to whoever said that to me, because guess what? I totally was getting fat. I was like growing out a second chin. I was like 200 pounds. I'm usually like a buck 75, buck 80. So I like weighed 20 more pounds than I normally did. And it's just interesting that we're trying to eliminate. There's people who are inspired, like myself and Etienne, with maybe that, not tough love, but just sort of really like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm trying to say that there's probably a value in that. And we have to decipher who needs that versus coddling or a participation trophy, or you know what I mean? Because there are people on both sides, and I'm not trying to say that there aren't, but yeah, I know that the more comfort I create for myself, the softer I get. And
Yeah.
when I travel through difficulty, the harder I get. And I like myself harder and stronger than I like myself weaker and softer. So it's a weird catch 22 that it's like you live a hard life, you work hard, you want to try and like get a soft life, but that is definitely not what you want. That soft life will kill you.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, I had the same thing happen to me at the end when I was younger. I mean, my principal basically said I'd be nothing. I mean, for lack of better words. I mean, it was, yeah. I mean, it's perspective is a crazy thing when they don't have it.
Do you
So
think it's that they see the gift in us and see us not grabbing that brass ring of it, or is it just lazy, discipline on their part? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
As we're analyzing it, I mean, let's analyze it.
There's certain things, like Marcus said, there's certain things that have put fuel under my self over the years that I'm actually, at the time I was like, really, like, Marcus, you probably saw red, but you're like, I'm going to put myself into that and work through it. Um, but you are better for that.
What
You're
inspired me, dude? I was just like, this motherfucker's right. I am getting
Well,
fat.
in
I
those
can't have
moments
that.
of doubt and frustration, that's what rings in your ears, right? I remember when my lawyer said you're not going to win this case against the government, and all I heard was in my ear Mr. Coleman's voice, "You're not going to amount to anything. You're not going to, right?" Same happened to you, right, Colin? It's just in those moments when you're really challenged and you have to stand up for who you are. They kind of gave us a cane or a pillar to rise ourselves off of a chip off of our shoulders, right?
100%. And it's interesting, like Marcus, something you said is trying to struck me because I think today, people take kindness for weakness, and I think that's a misconstruation of what that is, and I think being a strong-minded person has nothing to do with feeling in a lot of respect. It has to do with development of your own emotions, right? Like how emotionally mature are you? And learning these lessons through life, I think all of the bad, I think, allows you to learn to navigate and put the thread through things that you're, if you had the choice, you wouldn't go through, right? So therefore, you're forced to go through and kind of be the red thread for yourself. And I think that's what's valuable, through these tough experiences that I know all of us here have collectively shared. I think it's part of what builds that character that you have, and I think ultimately that's where, if we could bring it back to hash making, like it's a challenge, and that's where you have to work through these challenges, you know? So
Well, and hash makers will call you out on your shit, right? If it's not good, they're not going to coddle you like when you were just the weed seller. People would coddle you because you were the weed seller, and they didn't want to piss you off because you were the weed seller. Well, now you're creating something that
yep.
has beauty in their eyes, and you're expecting them to either let their own expectations down, or you haven't pushed your expectations enough.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, it's what shapes it. I think these are ultimately experiences. And as Marcus said, one person is going to feel defeated, the other one's going to feel inspired and want to take over the world and move the mountain,
Well,
you
it's
know?
about how well you get up after being punched in the face. How do you take things? Because some people can get punched in the face, and think of the punch in the face as sort of metaphorical for any type of trauma that may have occurred to you in your life. How do you react to that trauma? How well do you get back up, dust yourself off? Because, certain things, I just thought as I was growing up that trauma had to be very specific, like, oh, your trauma must have been so hard for this to have happened to you. And it's like, no, like, it's just how you take it. It might have been like you didn't get enough hugs, might not have been like beatings every day for 7 days a week. Like, there's a variety of ways that humans can become sort of traumatized. And yeah, I don't know why I went on that tangent, but maybe because I'm pretty baked on this money ball
It's
copyright
interesting
infringement
how well we're shaped by our traumas, right? I mean,
for sure.
I think I credit a lot of childhood traumas with tempering my glass table, right? Everybody seems to have a glass table before them of their sanity and their mind, right? For
Mhm.
some reason, little bit of weight, we watched people shatter, right? For some reason, we can take a lot more weight, and I think it's tempering through these experiences of life. And then what you were saying, Colin, right? We find our own self-confidence in it and realize, oh, well, if I can do this, then I can do that. Oh, if I can do this, then I can do that. Because we're all trailblazers in our own right, right? There were no trails before us. We kind of had to create and walk our own trails, and then look behind and see us being criticized for how we did what we did when there was really no, you know, a vision, right? I mean, Marcus, it was a random sparks of inspiration that allowed you to create, and then find the investors, and then go out and make it happen, right? It's one thing to ideate it, it's another thing to create it and then walk that journey. And now you're a pioneer in what you do, Colin. You're a pioneer in what you do. I've been fortunate. So it's very interesting that psychologically we've been able to take motivations from the outside, turn them inward, and affect our own change that in turn allowed us to be strong enough to affect the change that we've been able to share with others.
Yeah, the one thing I was talking to a good friend of mine about this thought the other day, and it's like I feel like all of us have learned to be more comfortable with the uncomfortable and learn to make that our world in which we occupy. And that unknown is actually really exciting, and that's a hard, I think that's a hard place to fall into. That's a learned thing to be able to navigate when there is nothing, and to really trust your intuition and trust yourself. That's that takes that takes time to develop that. I know it did for me. I there were, a good decade where I was like, I don't know, but now I'm like, I don't know, but that's okay, you know? And
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? And that's where um I think I invite others out there that are thinking that way to learn to trust yourself, because that's where it'll start to feel better.
Well, you're in moments where you have nothing but to trust yourself because you're pushed to those by, disbelief or law, right? We've been challenged by laws, some of us harder than others. Looking at you, Marcus, you actually had to go through a full-on trial and all that others, and you're
Dude,
still dealing with the repercussions this many years later, right? You're now waiting for your release to hopefully be able to come down and see us, because of that. And that's, respect to you. That was balls to do, to fight and do everything and to take it on the chin and to accept the plea agreement and all that other shit that you had to deal with. That's all not easy shit to have to deal with. These are all life-changing decisions and moments in time that test your mettle, mettle. That is, where you find out who you are and most importantly, who your friends and family really fucking are.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was definitely it was something else. It's definitely I remember asking John Conroy, my lawyer, what's the maximum that I could like, what's the absolute worst case scenario? And he goes, well, the maximum for this fine, which is anything over 3 kilos, is 25 years in prison. And I was just like, what are you talking about? That gave me such a heart attack, even though I knew I wasn't in America, which is where we were always worried when we heard people that we knew got in trouble down there. We were like, oh my God, like he
Dude,
could get
that's a
5 or 10 years.
sphincter pucker. That will make your sphincter pucker fucking hard.
25 years, dude. I was just like, what the fuck? That's why when legalization came in and they changed that 25 to 14, they made the worst case scenario 14 years, but nobody knew that it was 25 years. Trust me, unless you were in a court case, you had no idea. So when they announced that it was 14 years, people were like, 14 years? That's absolutely ridiculous. That's so long. And it's just like, bro, they just changed it from 25 baby fucking steps in the right direction. Like, just let's get the 25 to 14 before you start complaining. And then you can do activism and get it changed from 14 to a lower number. But dude, 25, I was just like, holy shit. Fuck. 25 years, man. Come on.
It's kind of, well, it's funny because like now that everything's kind of where it's at today, you would think they would like look at cases and be like, look, this is ridiculous. We're doing this right now. Like, why is this person here? Let's just expunge this. Let's just move on. Let's right the wrong. Because there's so many cases that are like that, especially in the States. It's a lot of people in prison right now that should not. And
yeah. Well, all you have to do is get to the judges, right? The judges have to be like, they have to have the highest level of integrity. They have to be able to listen, like how Kirk Toussaint got our legal, how cannabis extractions became legal in Canada because it was only cannabis that you could have. And then they changed all the laws and they made this 14-year thing. So he used that as an example in court. And he said, Your Honor, right now, say your mother has some arthritis and she goes and buys some cannabis. She's totally legal. But if she takes it home and she doesn't want to smoke it, she wants to drink it in a tea and she puts it in a little bag and dunks it in hot water, she has now done an extraction and could face 14 years in prison. And in that moment, the judge was like, no, that's absolutely ridiculous. So he knew he couldn't change the law because he wasn't a federal judge. He was a provincial judge here in British Columbia. So what he did was he changed the definition of what marijuana is. And he made it so marijuana is any and every part of the plant. So if it says you're allowed to have a kilo of marijuana at home, you could have a kilo of honey oil, you could have a kilo of stock, you could have a kilo of flour, you could have a kilo of pure trichome heads, whatever. If it's a part of cannabis, his simple definition change, he didn't have to consult anyone. He didn't have to change the country's law, which involved a dissent or whatever from the crown, like the bloody crown had to sign off on cannabis legalization in Canada. But this judge managed to add extractions just with the stroke of a pen in changing the definition.
That's across all province.
It was BC originally, and then it became the federal. So now it's across all provinces. Originally, when it happened, and the reason it happened was because of Ted Smith from Victoria, who ran this incredible club for years over there still, and Owen Smith, his hash maker dash baker. They busted the bakery, and so it was all like this extract thing came into being, and they said, well, we have to be able to do these extracts. So yeah, Kirk Toussaint was a big proponent in making that happen here in Canada, and it was the Owen Smith case. I guess it would be Regina versus Smith if you wanted to look it up and read about the history, but it's big history. We owe a lot to those guys in that moment. It's almost always language. Language can shift things so simply that if you think you're fighting this battle to get something changed, like look at language, because it is magical, and sometimes it just shifts the entire thing, and the platform of strength that your opposition thinks they have is suddenly dropped out from under them with just the simple change in language. So that's pretty cool. Like, for example, in Canada, you're not allowed to do any type of processing or extracting. But if you called it milling and you were just isolating the material by down into sizes, which is what milling is defined at, you could potentially do a type of extraction on the field if you promoted it as we are milling. We're milling from 400 microns down to 50, and then we're collecting those materials, and then they go to the lab and we do our extractions. You're still doing an extraction on the field, but the language and those rule makers, I swear to God, they'll accept that language every time. There was another interesting one I saw in the German market where they couldn't get vape carts into the pharmacies. It was like impossible. And some lawyer was just like, well, why don't we stop calling them vape carts? What if we just called them containers? And he called it a container and got it accepted like in the first application. So this is like a super hard, staunch, regulated, like German regulators. It's just language. You can say a certain word and turn that giant locked metal door into like ash. Just walk right through. Poof. Hey, I'm here. So
no, it's true. I mean, look at the hemp bill in the United States, it's like one line unlocked this whole world in which now people can use hemp to convert to THC and Delta 9.
exactly. Look at Cannabis just said that in the chat a few minutes ago. The language of the Farm Bill is a good example. Exactly. It's so important, the language that you use, that it can make your job, your activism, like much easier and much more effective.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, man, it's crazy. But the thing about the States is that we're so fragmented, if we all just could agree on one thing, it'd be a little easier, I think, from market to market, but it's real fragmented.
But it seems like, I mean, I guess Canada's a similar way right now, but I kind of think of both of our countries as unique countries in the world. And maybe the rest of the world is doing this a lot. I don't know. I'm just mostly living here, but our countries seem to be mostly people from other countries.
Yeah.
So we're like all these different people. So like, of course we're fragmented. Like, what the fuck, dude?
That's a good point.
By design, yeah. Like we're like our value is in our multicultural aspect. But multicultural is like it's like, oh, like you're divided. It's like, yeah, we have different cultures. Just got to learn. I don't think the division is terrible. I think it's the level in which we enforce the division. If we could just be like, oh yeah, you're over there and I'm over here, like you're into this and I'm into that. If it was more like that and not like you have to get the vaccine, you can't get the vaccine. Like, let's just be a little bit more understanding of people's of the shit that people are going through in the world right now, because there's a lot.
I think you're right. And one thing thought I have to share on that is like I think trauma allowed us to kind of slip into this,
Mm,
and that's what's it's a defense mechanism, I think, in a lot of respects for people. Like you have to believe this, you have to believe that, and um, it's a wild thing, you know. So I think it's yeah, we've got to work through these things, and these are challenges, overall. But generally, I think I love other cultures. I love to learn. That's why I love New York so much. It's like so much to learn on a daily basis.
I love it for the food myself.
Yeah, that too. But I mean, just like cultures and the neighborhoods, and I think there's so much to learn and take in and understand, and at least try to understand. It's one thing I love about it. But what's up, Mark? What's up, dude?
Hey, Colin, what's up? Hey, Marcus, ATN, how are
What's
you?
up, Doc?
Welcome, brother.
I was out running errands. I've been listening the whole show, so I really dig the whole Marvel Slinger glass discussion. That was really cool. Yeah, how's everyone doing? Happy Labor Day weekend. It's Labor Day. Let's celebrate all of those who work for a living and those who have retired from working for a living.
Absolutely. Happy to have one last long weekend before the kids are off to school on, I guess, September 2nd.
Yeah, they've
So,
already started, man. I remember as a kid growing up, school starting after Labor Day. I mean, that was
yeah,
pretty universal. But
No,
I
not
I don't know,
Louisiana.
things have changed. Things have changed around here. Like, I think our district started like a week or two ago,
yeah.
and I know my cousin who lives in Indiana, they start like right at the beginning of August. It's crazy.
Wow.
Like,
Would the kids get breaks now that they never? At least I never had the same breaks that I know my kids have. So
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, we started in mid-August, mid to late August in Louisiana, and then I
yeah.
graduated in May, whereas
in May,
out here
yeah.
in California, most it starts in September and then they finish in June, so early part of June. So it depends on where you are in the country, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
it's just so
Mal,
interesting because you see the buses back on the road, and I go by our elementary school and high school all the time, and it goes from one week there's nobody in the parking lot to next week it's just you can't find a parking spot. So yeah, when
it's about to happen
when
here.
school uh, opens, it's like a whole different civilization. Right now, parents got to get their kids to school, and it's like, yeah, the whole world changes, I guess, when schools open.
100%. Mouse
What
Chronic
grade are
has
your
asked
kids
you.
in, Marcus? You have a
Oh,
young one still, right?
yeah, he's going into grade 6.
Six.
So his school goes up to grade 7. So he's got 2 more years at this school, and he's getting higher and higher up in the level of his, like I guess, soon he'll be like at the top of his school. And then at grade 8, he'll go to this school called Rock Ridge. And it's then he'll be, like the youngest. There's kids that are in grade 12 and 11 and 10 at that school, but they keep them fairly isolated, the smallest kids that come in, because it's hilarious. Like grade 8, man, some of those kids are like 4'3", 87 pounds. And then there's like grade 12ers who are like 6'5", 243 pounds. It's like these guys are going to school together. Like,
Yeah, what do their parents feed those kids?
to keep these everything that is in the fridge, whatever you put in there, that's what they consume. I have one. I know. He's actually right now doing the West Coast Trail. My son Tosh is walking a 75-kilometer trail with a backpack on Vancouver Island on the rugged West Coast. Google that West Coast Trail. It's pretty awesome little hike, 7 days, 75 kilometers. Everything's
Right.
pack in, pack out. You got to bring all your shit, including all your food for the whole time. You can clean water from the creeks and lakes.
Yeah, I don't know what weather's like where you guys are at, but up here in Vermont, it's just an absolutely beautiful day out there. Low humidity, sun. I don't think there's a cloud in the sky. The lake is super calm. So we're gonna do a little kayak expedition on the lake later on today and get
Nice.
out there.
Little kayaking, eh?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and the lake is really down this year, so it's like I don't know. So it's weird. Like, yeah, it does um actually rely on the rivers to basically bring up the lake level. And contrary to popular belief, it's not actually like there's locks in between here and the St. Lawrence. Like it needs the water, I think, needs to go uphill in order to get to the St. Lawrence Seaway. So it's not like connected to this, like if there's a rise in sea level, Lake Champlain doesn't go up. So we're like hydrologically disconnected from the ocean. So have
Hydrologically.
you seen just increase in sea level where you're at, Marcus? Like, can you noticeably see it year after year?
Not
No.
at all in any way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. In fact, it's almost as though they're all full of shit. Um, because our sea level is like you can't hide it. It's like it stains the rock and it's where the mussels
Yes.
and like it creates an entire like ecosystem where that
Exactly.
water level is. And you can see how long it's been there for by how dark it gets. So when the ocean goes down, you'll have this like black line of where it normally is. And then
Right.
you can kind of check it out. It's been the same here since I've lived here for 30 years. And we do live in a fjord. This is like a little fjord, like so that it goes out and then it's just we have to go around Vancouver Island, which is a big island that's kind of protects us from the open ocean. So on the other side of Vancouver Island, it's open ocean. And that's why, of course, why people go there to surf and stuff, because they got the big 8 foot swells. We don't have that.
But it
Thank
is sea
God.
level. Like when you go there, if you look at the altitude, are you at sea level?
If I go down to the water, I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm above sea level right now.
Yeah. Super interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
could see
Yeah.
like,
I'll tell you for 15 for the well, not 15, but for like the first 4 years that I lived on the ocean, I could not figure out the tides for the life of me, dude. I'm like, these are the most insane patterns that make zero sense, that are like, there's no reoccurring pattern here. Like, this is just insane. But I saw some interesting things, and I definitely found it's different when you live on the water, when you live right in the tide and you watch it come and go. It is trippy, especially for such a big, the water out in front of my house is like 700 feet deep.
wow,
I know. Jesus Christ. The
that's
feeling of being
serious.
on a boat on that is kind of like, ooh, if I, like, you don't want to sink here. This is like, we're not going to get found. Like, nobody's coming to get us. Although I did see recently, and I don't know if it's meters or feet, but I saw Jair from Dutch Horticultural Lighting, who was the Gavita gentleman before. We'll have to get him on Hash Church one day. Friend of mine in Holland, he posted pictures on his Facebook the other day of going down to either 600 meters or 600 feet on a submarine. And it was like not like a Hilton submarine. Like this was the real deal. You know what I mean? I would suspect this must be like I don't know, a $25,000 package or something to be able to do it. But he had pictures down there through this little window. I was just like, dude, that is cool shit. Like I don't want to be going down in the toy that operates with the Nintendo or the PlayStation. That freaked me out. When they even said that, I was like, oh ha ha ha. Yeah, I'm sure he was using a video game console to operate it. And then when I saw he actually was that one that imploded and the people passed away on, I thought, I mean, fuck, I don't know a lot about a lot, but I feel like the minute I saw, if I got in that guy's submarine, the minute I saw him pull that remote control from the PlayStation up, I would be like, okay,
Yeah.
my chances of dying on this have just gone up 1,000-fold. And I'm not trying to make light or joke about people who perished in a horrific fucking accident.
yeah.
Seriously, dude, a fucking PlayStation remote control. Like, what the fuck? We living in crazy times. Someone said it perfect the other day. I was at a wedding anniversary, and this girl was just, she kept saying it. She's like, we're living in a clown world. You know, people would start talking about what's going on in the world, and then I just hear her chime in, yep, we're living in a clown world. I'm like, oh my
I
God,
thought we're living in a simulation. I thought that's what I thought it was.
it might be a clown simulation for all I know,
With lots of mimes.
with a whole lot of mime. So listen, I'm super excited. I am going to Quebec tomorrow to do a bunch of R&D for the week. I'm going to be spending a week in a beautiful lab making hash and playing around and fucking calling up some of my hash buddies to help inspire a whole variety of SKUs that I want to come up with. And I have some pretty good ideas that I won't mention just yet, but yeah, there's definitely some things that still haven't been done that I think would be cool. There's still new novelty to occur, is what I'm saying. Wouldn't you agree, Colin?
Oh, dude, so much. Like yeah, I think there's this whole world's to unlock still that we're I don't know what it is. I know like cold cure is great, but there's a whole world to explore, with mechanical separation and decarbing and further deconstructing what, the fractions and
Well,
term.
listen, if you're so obsessed with producing more flavors, then you should be mirrored equally obsessed with preserving said flavors. And I don't mean in preserving them in the way of a cold supply chain that is between you getting it or making it and you consuming it,
Yep.
but more so how different mediums, different materials preserve volatile organic compounds differently when you inhale them, when you heat them. I always found sapphire to be the most delicate in how it preserved. It tasted different
Yep.
than silicon carbide, and it tasted different than quartz, and it tasted different, sapphire, all of them. Even ruby was a little bit different, but I would like to see the world get back to that obsession where we're like, okay, there's got to be some compounds that are like the most preserved. The way it absorbs heat and the way it releases heat is how it will affect those super volatile organic compounds. And it's weird. It's the same thing between, I guess, induction and convection or whatever. Like the way the heat, induction is a tricky one because it's so fucking powerful. And to be able to bring those fields down to that super delicate, like where you're not just blasting out all these aromatic volatile compounds. And I think Kylie did the best job with the Indux Labs. I don't think there's another unit that can quite tweak things to that level. Most of the other ones that I've tried and see are fairly intense, and their bottom is usually too high for my liking.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah, no, I have an Indux that I was super lucky to grab one when we did the New York Melting in the Heads. Big respect to Kylie and everything he's done. I really appreciate the unit, and I use it often by myself. I set it up on the table and I just have a session with it and try different stuff, because to your point, it's a different flavor experience. You get a much richer, more mouth coat than you do from even my mothership. Like I do love my mothership, don't get me wrong, but to your point, there's a world of delivery that I think, you know, people should be exploring. It's really important. It's one thing for us to make all these products, but I said it the other day when most people, it's like we're in the studio making music on the best equipment, and then they're listening in on earbuds that aren't even like that they bought for like $20. You know what I mean? And I think to your point, having the right tools to experience the terps or the volatile organic compounds, as they should really be called, that's from a consumer point of view where people should be obsessive, not only just with the product, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what, when I first met Jason Lee, he was obsessed with how smoke moves through water and how it filters and how it can change the way it tastes based on how it filters. And I was just like, well, this guy's like super deep in it. But then really hooking up with Brian from D Nail, he was the one that always was going the furthest with it. He was the one that was always the most interested in hearing the things that I thought no one else would really have an interest in hearing in regards to the preservative nature of different surface areas and how they just release those flavors. Because, you know, I'd have a lot of different flavors, but I'd hit the same flavor through these different, through silicone, through quartz, through sapphire, and you could just at the same temperature, and you could absolutely unequivocally taste different tastes. And that, the sapphire always blew me away, especially because it was the most pain in the ass one. You couldn't just clean it. Any liquid on it at all would crack it. It was super delicate, super expensive. They almost always cracked. And you could really only turn them up to clean them. You could turn the D nail up and you could clean it, and it would take a long time to clean. Would you break your slurper?
Yeah, I just opened it up and I just saw this.
Oh, dude.
This is from Legends. Oh man. Anybody out there that can fix this for me? I got all the pieces.
Fuck. Send it to JP.
Oh, oh my God.
All
It
glass
has
breaks.
yep, it has a life. It has a life, but I've also had stuff from like the 90s that has not broken, you know?
It will.
True.
Sometime out in the future, it just hasn't yet, you
It's
know?
gonna go.
And I hope it doesn't break in your lifetime, right? Doesn't
Yeah.
all glass break, right?
Well, you know what? I want to say yes, probably eventually, but I'll tell you, I've had glass for over 25 years that has not broken, and you can keep it unbroken for many decades.
I'm surprised it broke inside of that case.
Me too, actually. When you opened it, I thought you had already seen that it was broken prior and you were just showing it to us, but we got to experience your,
My
oh, that's dreadful.
yeah, I opened it and I was like, my eye, I just opened my eyes and I said, oh man.
Uh, I'll see what we can do.
Oh,
What's
man.
going on in the yeah, so I'm going to Quebec to make spews, to make hash here for the next week. So I'll be in the Quebec townships busting it out and playing in the lab. So I'll try to share a little bit of that if I can while I'm away, but just
I could
excited to
see
get in
Quebec
the
from my
lab.
window here. What's
That's
going on?
awesome, dude. That's awesome. I wonder how far you are from where I'm going.
Not
Big
far enough.
province. It's a big province, dude.
Yeah, I know it is a big province. Where are you going to be?
I'll be in near Farnham, Quebec.
Farnham, Quebec. Okay, let's see how far away.
I'm guessing 8 hours. Wouldn't it be great if it was like 2?
1 hour, 17 minutes.
No.
You get
Is
up there,
it?
just
Come on,
drive.
dude.
It's 1 hour and 17 minutes?
Yeah, let's meet at the border.
Dude, that's crazy. Why? You don't go over the border or what?
Yeah, right. I'll load a hit in the US and pass it to you in Canada.
And we'll both be arrested by each other's customs.
Hey, we can
Dr.
make a
Mark's
video
being
out of
held
it.
in
That'll be
Canada.
fun.
Yeah, we'll make a video, of course.
Won't it
POV.
be worth the content?
We got Meta's new glasses. We'll be filming. Yeah, that's crazy. No, I'm
Shit,
do
Marcus,
not.
you're gonna be close. Holy fuck, dude. What are we doing?
I'm
Come on,
telling you, man,
bro.
like, dude, you should come visit this place. They invited you. Their chemist, which was Dr. Justin Conway,
Oh, this is that
he
same group. That's right.
he
Okay.
he he invited you to come see. He's like, dude, come up, man, come check out the facility.
So, and when are you gonna be there? You're gonna be there this week?
I'm gonna be there tomorrow.
Well, let's make it happen, bro. I'll come up. I think I can cross the border,
I'll
right?
be there
You
for a
think
week. Wow, dude, why wouldn't
they'll
you, man?
definitely let
You
me
get to
into
the border,
Canada?
they'll be
Will
like,
they
"Are you
let me,
Dr. Mark Sheldon from Hash
or will
Church?"
they let me back? That's the question. That's
They'll let you.
Guaranteed.
yeah,
I'll
they'll
play the
let you in, but
professor card, right? To be like, oh, that guy's just a college professor. Let him back in.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That'd be super
Yeah.
cool, man. That'd be
No,
really cool.
seriously, Marcus, we should hook up offline and let's see if we can make it happen. We'll freak people out, right? For those of you who don't know, Marcus and I have never met in person, right?
Yeah, that's nuts.
It's
Right.
always been an internet bromance.
Yeah, that's so
Right,
nuts, dude.
right? So let's make it happen, man.
Yeah, well, I can't believe it's an hour and 17 minutes. I'll tell you, like that makes me so happy because here's the thing. I'm hoping we'll see how it goes, but I'm hoping to be returning often. And if that's the case, dude, like you'll just be on my like, dude, I'm renting a car. I'm gonna go see Dr. Mark for a couple days in Vermont. Gonna go
Yeah,
see
come and stay with
fish.
us. Absolutely. Oh, we'd love to have you here, you know.
Dude.
We want
Oh
every
my
time I
goodness.
hear about you talking about your partners in the state, I'm like, fuck, why don't we have partners in Vermont? You need to bring Bubble Man brand here to Vermont. Let's do it. What are
100%,
we
man.
doing?
100%. Well, those people that are watching right now that got the right consciousness and the right integrity and are growing the danks and have the living soils, hit us up.
Well,
We'll
as you
do it
know,
up.
our mutual friend Kind Bill is working with the folks over in Zen Barn, so they're a licensed operator, and I'm
Oh,
sure they'd love to
cool.
have your brand.
Oh, I'd love to have a conversation with them. You know,
Yeah, let's
it's
get
always
Kind Bill and Marcus together. Oh my God, that'd be like
hanging out in Vermont. Dude, Vermont, dude. Come on. It's awesome.
it's the Humboldt to the east, I think. I
Right?
hope
Well,
our
I'm
friends in
excited to
Humboldt
be
understand.
able to come legally. You know, one thing I never did was I never tried to enter America with my record. I never tried to enter illegally. You know, I did accidentally go last time without the waiver, but they explained to me that I needed it, and so that's what I did. So I'm trying to get that. So let's hope that it comes through here soon. I was hoping this month, but when I called my lawyer, he said it would actually be more than closer to 12 months. So it was 8, which was August. Now it's 12. So that's kind of December. Hopefully by next year, I'm able to come because,
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to come and enjoy America, man. Just come
Well,
see
and
my
Colin, man,
buddies.
are you in New York? Get your ass up here. We'll go up and see Marcus, man. Come on, let's go. What are we waiting for?
I
Life is
can't
too
this
short.
week, but because I'm going to California on Wednesday, flying out. I had to go there until next week. But yeah, I mean, we all need to get up there. We should go to BC, man. Like that's the spot. Like I think Marcus will agree. Like BC is the place.
I like it.
We should just roll over there. We should just fly in, get like rent a place, go see Marcus. We'll go up
Do
in the
it.
Whistler.
I was
All
going to
right, let's
say
go.
do it in the winter, but before that, I'm going to see you, Dr. Mark, in the next few days, guaranteed. I'm actually excited. I cannot believe you said an hour and 17 minutes. I was like, there's no fucking way that it's that close. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, that's really
Is it
close.
Burlington? Are you in Burlington?
I'm in Colchester, which is just outside of Burlington, but yeah, we're
Like
right on
40,
Lake
how
Champlain.
outside of it? Like 20 minutes, 40 minutes?
Like, so, Colchester is just north of Burlington, and we're right on the lake. So I'm like about 40 minutes from the border. We could
Okay.
be in Montreal in like a little over an hour.
Well, apparently I'm 20 minutes from the border when I'm over there.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, let's see. Yeah, it's
Or
it's
30 or
it's
40.
not
No,
that
maybe
far at all.
I
It's
maybe
not
remember
that
also
far at all, and
40. You
it's a
said
main
it.
highway to get there too. So,
I
Okay.
remember being up in Bellingham and I just like called Marcus. I was like, dude, it just looks like your backyard up here, man. And you're like, yeah, I'm like, I don't know, like an hour or
Those
something.
guys used to come to my house in less than an hour, dude. They'd be like in America, they'd be like, we're leaving Bellingham. And then like 45 minutes later, they'd be in my hot tub just a couple of doors down. I'd be like, dude, I'm like, you guys just went over the border. I'm like, how are they letting you guys over the border?
Right.
You know, and I don't think it was anything to do with how they dressed. It was how we all looked. We were so young. You know, we were in our 20s. and you look like you're 13 years old.
100%.
The border is such a man-made illusion, though, if you think about it, right? I mean, it's just like, what the fuck is a border, right? Like, was it John Lennon, right? No religion, no borders, and all that. No, what? No
Well, it's a
possession.
three-dimensional boundary, is what it is. So it's like borders, boundaries. Boundaries are good. I think we need them, right? Got to have some boundaries. And then the borders just took it to the next level. They're like, let's invent countries, let's invent rules, let's definitely invent borders. And I'll tell you, the law at a border is different than any law anywhere else. You should
Yep,
know that. You should look at what, like when you're between Canada and America, whether you're American or Canadian, you are in no man's land.
right.
You are
Yep,
not in America and you're not in Canada. You're in this other little area that is like very strict.
yep. Yeah.
They don't fuck around.
Yes, those of us who've had to navigate in and around borders know that, yeah, it's a mind fuck when you go through there. And sometimes it's so smooth, right? Like there's like, oh yeah, you guys are coming up to Montreal? Sure, come on up with your US dollars and spend it up here in Montreal. Don't get your car stolen. That's a big thing in and around Montreal. I don't know if you guys have this problem out west, but it seems as though there's a lot of car theft. And
Really?
in areas where there's tourists, like tourists will go up there, and next thing you know, their car is stolen. And it turns a couple day vacation into this absolutely horrible thing that you have to deal with. But yeah, I mean it's so great. Montreal is just such it's like Paris, right? Or it's just there's some kind of international flavor to it. Everyone's speaking French. It's this
Yeah.
whole other language.
It's a whole other place. Montreal is actually really fun and amazing. And it's probably one of like Quebec is a beautiful province. The townships, the eastern townships, the old churches, the drum jam that happens. Listen, Montreal Jazz Festival is really like up there with Montreux in Switzerland and New
Yeah.
Orleans Jazz
Oh, it
Festival.
is.
Those three jazz festivals are like, I mean, obviously New Orleans, Montreux, but Montreal, I went for years, and it is
Yeah.
some of the most incredible musical, like one time only experiences because all the musicians would stay at the Wyndham Hotel. So what you
Mhm.
had to do is you had to make sure you had a Wyndham Hotel card, whether you were staying there or not, because the Wyndham Hotel main floor was on the second floor. So you had to go up to an elevator and show a security guard that you had a hotel key before he would let you get up into the lobby. And
Yeah.
so I kept my I traveled with my Wyndham card because I'd go to the bar at the end of the night and be like, "Oh, there's like Ray Charles with like Charlie Hunter and John Medeski and like the most insane shit you could possibly imagine. These dudes were all just like at the end of their shows, they were like, let's go jam with whoever. Oh, there's Regina Carter. And it just the list went on and on and on of people that were just jamming together in this little bar that were
Yeah.
all free shows and that would never occur again. I loved it. Absolutely
That's fun.
fucking
It's one of
loved
the,
it.
it's considered like the pinnacle to be able to play on those stages. So,
Really,
Oh,
eh?
it's so cool though. I mean, they block off the streets, right? So
Oh
that
yeah.
that downtown area down by McGill is just there's just people everywhere.
Closed.
There's cafes, there's food. I said to my daughter, I'm like, man, I needed to come here as a young single man because my Lord, the women there, I mean, it was just beautiful people. It was just, and there's lots of weed being smoked. I was surprised. We were last there at the Jazz Fest, I want to say like 2008, 2009. And we obviously, you go over, you don't want to bring anything with you. So you just hope that you could connect over there, and we ended up, yeah, I think finding some hash in Montreal. Go figure, right?
Lot of hash smokers in Montreal. There's no doubt
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
Yeah. It's too
But
bad
they
we
do
didn't
a lot
bump
of
into
those
you there.
tobacco the tobacco hash spliffs, right?
Tons.
So there's lots of
It's
that going on.
You don't want to be
But
grabbing
yeah, the
a Frenchie's
food and the
joint, that's for
culture
sure.
there is so cool, and it's just such a cool city.
Charlie Hunter Trio with DJ Logic. Yes, I saw that show.
Yeah,
They
we saw the James Carter trio, I think. James
Yep.
Carter.
I saw James with his sister Regina, the violinist.
Uh-huh.
Incredible.
We saw Joshua Redman,
Yep. It's another
and
great one.
we saw a guy from upstate New York named Martin Sexton. I don't know if you know who Martin
Yep,
Sexton is.
absolutely.
I don't know, singer-songwriter kind of guy.
Have you seen Hiromi? She is an amazing piano player. She is just a gift. Yeah, she has her jazz trios and such. Hiromi. She fucking rocks a piano like Hendrix rocks a guitar.
Cool.
Bam. Thank you for
Highly
turning me on.
recommend. She is on her own level and plane. Just and the musicians she's playing with nowadays are all of their generational, because she is. And yeah, highly recommend. Happy to turn you on. She is hands down.
Music's endless. It's
That's the beauty of it, right?
I remember being younger and being like, thinking, yeah, I pretty much know all the bands. I know everyone that's out there. And, getting to a point where I would get turned on to like huge new swaths of music, particularly with jazz. When I got into jazz, because I was into punk rock, which was a little bit of a smaller sort of genre, and got into reggae and got into jam bands, but jazz was this infinite hole of like, holy shit, are there a lot of jazz musicians? And they really, jazz and that jamming is sort of goes hand in hand. A lot of good jazz bands that just jam the shit out of the music.
I got lucky growing up in New Orleans, because you go down to the French Quarter
Yeah.
any time of day, night,
It's in the street.
in the street, right? And I guess right now they're well, not celebrating, but they're remembering Katrina, because right before Katrina they were trying to push out the street musicians and all of that. And inadvertently, due to Katrina, the jazz and the music came back because they needed people back in the streets. And what brought them back? Chess and jazz. Chess is also a big thing in New Orleans, and a lot of the huge tournaments would happen in New Orleans. So, yes, when the chess players returned to Bourbon Street, and so did jazz music, it reshaped New Orleans. And because it's part of that reality. But I mean, yeah, my father was a jazz musician. I mean, I grew up around sitting and listening, and every time I go to New Orleans, there's certain jazz places I will go to just to listen. You can hear everything from the old school to again, the most generational talent. And the Rebirth Brass Band. You go out and listen to them on a street corner, they will literally turn a quiet street corner into a full-on dance boogie. And that is a whole other magic that is, you got to love about jazz. It brings people in. You get somebody pumping on a tuba, getting that bass going. Next thing you know, you got your high brass dancing over it. Next thing you know, you got people out dancing. Hell, we got line dances, second line, and all that stuff from it. So yeah, man, you got to have music to move your life. And
Yeah.
jazz is so key.
And I would always record it. So all my shows that I saw in Montreal, I just recorded them all. Anytime I saw anyone prolific, Zakir Hussain, what's his name there, the saxophone player, the absolute like John Zorn and the Masada and all of the different bands that Zorn, I've seen Zorn probably like 25 different times with every different random person from, just wild stuff. I love seeing music that like moves you, where you're like tearing up, which definitely happened the first time I saw Zakir Hussain play the tablas with who else did he have with him on the sitar? Just all these incredible, and a flute player that was just like right out of another dimension. It's incredible what music can do, especially with the help of good cannabis. I've always thought that it goes, just like peanut butter and jelly, good herb and good music, especially like if it's reggae, seeing that happen in Jamaica where it was born and puffing on Jamaican sun-grown resin with your feet in the sand, like listening to good reggae is incredible. Yeah,
And what do
Miles Davis.
musicians listen to, turned on before, right? Because that helps us all get in the same mood. My band, we always practiced high because we played high, right? So it was that same situation, you better, right, Mark, right? You better
Yeah.
practice high because if you're gonna play high, you better be prepared to hit those notes because they're not gonna be high. I was a bass player, so you got to hold that root. You can't miss your root, otherwise you fuck up the entire song really quick. So yeah, about having everybody on that same vibe. I used to watch musicians go out and then, split a joint and then go back in and absolutely, crush, right? Get everybody getting on the same headspace.
Yeah, it helps, I think, in lowering your, I don't know, is it connect? I think it is connected to your ego, but I mean, like when you collaborate with other musicians, you have to be able to communicate with them, and there's a certain amount of trust that you have to build in that musical collaboration. And so you're you're increasing your vulnerability, right? And I think cannabis helps with that because yeah, everyone kind of like shares a joint before jamming. Everyone's sort of like in the same space to be able to, collaborate and make something that's just bigger than just the musicians that are there. Like if you're some people when they get stoned, they lose their intonation, or maybe, their singing might become sloppy or their playing might become sloppy. I think that could be normal too. But I think that for the most part, like, yeah, in jazz, particularly in jazz, right, you want to sort of free yourself and free your mind within the music. And what better way, ATN, to do that through than through cannabis? That's a great thing. Like when you go to New Orleans and you go down to like Frenchman's, or you go to uh, Tipitina's, like one of these storied places, the music's going to be good, right? Because you have to sort of have a certain level of chops to even be in those gigs, like DBA down there on Frenchman Street. And you find that the party spills out from inside where the music's being played onto the street, right? ATN, like, especially like if you're down there around Jazz Fest and there's just tons of tourists in town and tons of bands playing, it's just as lively out on the street as it is inside the club. And there is, yeah, a lot of cannabis consumption happening down in New Orleans, and there always has, at least while we've been down there. Never had a problem with police or anything like that, right? They call them, well, it says, New Orleans, so it's NO and in police, so no police, right? It's like, or what they call down in New Orleans, the no lease. It's and police are pretty, I mean, certainly tourist friendly, right? So I've never seen anybody be hassled in like on Bourbon Street or down on Frenchman's or down in a quarter for smoking weed. And usually, yeah, there's a lot of consumption that happens in and around Jazz Fest. But yeah, the music and the food. Oh my God, right, ATN? I mean, yeah, there's the music, which is great because that's definitely part of the culture. But when you go down there and you eat Cajun Creole food, it's like no other food. I'm not a big fan of oysters, not until I went down there and had barbecued oysters at Giacomo's, right? I mean, that's how they make them. They barbecue them and they just throw a bunch of butter and garlic on it, and yeah, you just slurp them down. But the music and the culture and the food, everything down there is just so absorbing. I told my kids if I went down there as a young man, they wouldn't be around. I would have never made it out of New Orleans. I'd be a white guitar player playing in an all black review or something like that. I would have totally gotten assimilated into New Orleans culture if I would have went down there as a young man.
Yeah, it does. It will call the soul, right? You know, and there's so many talented musicians. I mean, you can go out any time of the day or night, you know, and there's music playing. So it's definitely the place, but yeah, places that you were talking about, like Tipitina's and stuff like that, that's where you know you're gonna see something special, right?
Yeah.
And then Jazz Fest, right? Jazz Fest, like up in Montreal, is that you get everybody coming together, and then you get all these special jams that you'll never get. So, the times to be in New Orleans: one, Mardi Gras; two, Jazz Fest. Those are the two mandatories if you're gonna go to New Orleans and enjoy and see what it's all about.
Well,
Yeah.
and the week before Mardi Gras, they have something called the French Quarter Festival, which is kind of
Yep.
like it's kind of like it's the pre-Mardi Gras festival, mostly for locals, right? 18, it's kind of
Yeah,
like
it's the local celebration, right?
right,
But look at
right
all the bands that are everywhere, right?
before all
It's
the
almost
tourists
as big
come
as
in.
Jazz Fest.
But yeah, you got to have beignets down at Café du Monde and what's that ham sandwich place? Oh God, there's a
Oh,
place that you
Muffaladas. Yeah.
yeah,
You
right.
have
You
a
got to
muffalata
get
at the
a
Capitol.
muffalo, right?
Yeah.
But
Grocery.
yeah, great culture and great music and great food and just a great place to be. But I'm glad that whenever I go there, I'm glad when I leave because I'm like, man, I've gotten 4 hours of sleep in 5 days. I need to go home. Yeah.
It is definitely Vegas eyes when people are leaving, that's for sure.
Two piss holes in the snow.
It doesn't snow there.
It's a metaphor.
I know, I'm being silly.
It doesn't
Actually,
snow there.
it snowed when I was 4 for like 6 hours, and I apparently in the 80s it snowed again, but yeah, it doesn't stick long. So what I mean, so where is the when is the jazz festival usually up in Montreal?
I believe it's the end. It used to be the end of June, start of July that
July,
we would
yeah.
go. We would go from like the 26th of June to like the 7th of July or something.
Yes. It's in the summertime.
Yeah, we haven't gone in years though, but yeah, let's see. June 26th to July 5th, the 45th anniversary took place this year, June 26th to July 5th. Oh, what a fun festival, man. Like, holy shit. 2 million people in attendance.
Wow.
Yeah. Shout out to Alain Simard for founding the Montreal Jazz Festival. Holy Christ, 45 years ago, bro. Should look at who was at the first Montreal Jazz
Right.
Festival. It's bonkers. It's like it's insane. It's like every great jazz musician from the past. Pretty cool stuff. I'll have to try and make that happen next summer, maybe, Dr. Mark. We'll link up over there and
Yeah,
get some
absolutely.
jazz in. I need to go to a concert with you, dude. Maybe a couple.
Well, we got to go
Oh,
see Fish, Marcus.
I know.
yeah, you come down here, we should all go to Jazz Fest together. I'll show you the places to eat. We'll go have a grand time in New Orleans.
Hell yeah. I couldn't go to New Orleans without Etienne.
Oh, bring your appetite, Mark. Oh, we gonna eat good.
We gonna eat good. A little Frenchie in there, Etienne. You parles
You
français?
know, I get my Cajun on, you know, I will slip into it. I have more of a universal accent because people are like, you don't sound like you're from Louisiana. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Should I sound like I'm from Georgia or something like that? Is that better for you? Does it sound better? Better,
Right.
honey, child, sweetie? Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things, which is odd because people in New Orleans have a Brooklyn accent. If you actually sit and you listen around, it's very much a Brooklyn accent. You get out in Cajun country, shit, you're squinting to hear. You know what I'm saying? What? Don't
Say
know how
what
to
now?
what? You ever listen to Justin? What's his face? The old cook. You know, he always put wine in everything. The old Cajun cook, Justin Wilson or whatever the fuck is. Yeah, I grew up with him in Louisiana, and you could barely understand him, and he was on television speaking clearly. So yeah, 9 out of 10 dentists do not understand. That's all I'm saying.
How are you guys? Do you have any plants growing, you guys, just on your own personal deck? Not like grow rooms or anything, but just some plants out on the deck. Are you guys allowed to do that?
Yeah, I do. I'm only able to have 12 plants where I'm at. So we take advantage of that. So I have original diesel going, got a lemon G going. I've got a couple males of OG KBZ times cherry pie. And I've also got blue Zushi, grapes and cream, sour diesel, and super booth going.
Imagine being Colin's neighbor and watching him on Hash Church talk about how he has males out in his grow.
No,
No.
it's way secluded. It's funny, I went out there this morning and I took all the pollen because it was just about to drop and I put it all in a bag. But
Oh, nice.
I also have a bunch of stuff that I put in pots that I put into the ground around the males that just I let just kind of pollinate. So there's like original New York City diesel times Chem 4 BX. And then there's a couple other ones out there. I can't remember. I'd have to go look at the tags, but I like to do that kind of stuff to let it just kind of naturally happen. And they're like tiny, tiny plants just because I'm just experimenting with those. But yeah, what about you? Do you have anything on your deck?
I've got like maybe 5 or 6. I got some Planet Bang Bangs from Exotic Genetics through my buddy Jay, who's been growing really nice. It's him and Hatch who were producing all the 6 star that I was puffing for a while. Now they're
Nice.
helping these guys with some really nice rosin. But yeah, I got some Planet Bang Bangs, and then I have some seeds that I got given to me from London from Future 4200. I don't know if you remember London Nero. He was like he had his own podcast and he was pretty deep in it. Ended up moving to Italy, and I think he now lives in Spain with his whole family. Kind of did the move away from Canada and buy like an inexpensive house, and it didn't work out in Italy, but he bounced to Spain, so that's where he is now. And he gave me some seeds, these lemon diesel seeds, like I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. And I planted all of those as well. And I culled the few males that there were there. And I've just got a couple of those planted directly into my garden. They're almost more ornamental than anything, but yeah, they're 4 or 5 feet tall now, starting to get bigger. They haven't really started flowering yet, but it's on my deck, so it should be fine. I did
Yeah.
not get a hold of any haze seeds, Alex Techman, but I will. Don't worry about me. I will. I got my Sam ashes, and I want to put Sam's ashes into some proper haze genetics. So I was talking to Tom Hill and a few others.
I actually have some of the sand seeds for you, Marcus. I confirmed with Chimera that they're real. They're actually cultivar choice in the original packaging. I'll give them to you to do that with.
What are they? Just haze or haze
I
crossed
have
with
to go
haze?
back and look. There's a bunch of stuff that like I got a hold of because someone bought them and they ended up sending them to my house first, and then I sent them to them, and they were like, "Why don't you take a couple for you to have?" And so I think it would be only proper to give those to you. So let's do
Yeah, I
that.
mean, I'll if they're legit, I just want it to be like the purest haze, like the that was Dave's favorite was the haze. Even though we bred the skunk, The haze was the favorite, and it definitely had to do with the fact that the haze was just a crippling high that he just adored. And so too do I. So how nice would it be for Skunkman Sam to just give me an anxiety attack and a big dab of like haze crossed with haze? Fucking, oh, let me tell you, man. I'm
I'm doing
in.
the same. I do not have any plants, but I have his ashes, but it has to be something special. It can't be anything average or normal. And yeah, I would like to hold out for either NL5 or
Mm,
Haze for sure, because Haze is my favorite. And but yeah, maybe in South Africa, maybe I'll find some Swazi.
there you go. Yeah, you're going soon, right? In a month or 2 months or something?
Yeah, be going and visiting, going to the competition in early October, and then I'm gonna go out and do some photographing in the wild. So, but very much looking forward to seeing plants and gardens and South African hash. We had that wonderful hash church with them recently, so it was made me quite excited to go and see and tour and try what's there and available, right? Because I'm so used to the normal terroir of Northern California. It's going to be interesting to try the different terroir of South Africa because the majority of everything is being grown outdoors. So it's going to be fascinating. And the spring is kicking off there right now. Myrtle just put her Sam ashes in the ground. So shout out to Myrtle and them at the farm there in South Africa. And yeah, hope everything comes up well and wonderful. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it and excited to give a report on it when I get back.
Fuck yeah, dude. I'm excited for that as well. Love to make it out there. I don't think it's going to be in the books for me. I got a lot of work ahead of me here, but I'll look forward to experiencing the journey through you, and we'll make sure to do a hash church while you're there.
We'll do our best. We will see what is possible. That would be
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it really would be for sure. In the least, get some nice clips to share with us. I'm always trying to tell like hash makers that I want to invite or growers. It's like, bring video of your work, like while you're talking, you can be showing videos of your plants, of your hash making, of your final product. And those are, quite enjoyable from the perspective of the viewer. So why don't I do that? I could go through a few of the flavors that I'm ripping on right now. I don't have them all, unfortunately, opened, but I can definitely like show these jars, starting with this Romulan. This Romulan. We got some rainbow marker, some Medi Kush and Mac 1, the Medi Mac.
I like that they put the screens that they're using.
Yeah.
It's very
Sure.
helpful to understand because many people don't do that. And I would encourage more of that because microns matter.
Yeah.
Microns matter.
You
Those up
sure?
my photo app. But yeah, that was just a couple that I've been puffing on. They're really nice. I puffed on the Medi Mac, I puffed on the Masterpiece, and I puffed on the Money Ball, and they're all just quite lovely. Some are wetter, some are drier. They're all very loud and flavorful. Yeah, it's nice to have some new flavors. Okay, here we go. Look at this. Sam the Skunk Mans. I wonder which ones those are. Nice.
There's a bunch of them. We got a bunch. So there was a
Thai
Thai.
Haze cross with Skunk number one.
Do you want that one? I have that, and I have like original haze.
I'm
Bunch of.
gonna need them all, Colin. No, I'm just joking.
Well, dude, I'll give
I
you
don't in any
every.
way, shape, or form. That anything that's great. That all looks amazing. I'll grab some of those and Get some ashes into some of them. That would be I've been waiting to do this patiently, you know?
Yeah, man. Well, these will be great. Um, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Where's Ryan? Ryan should be on.
I know, I'm not sure. He's just here. Masonic Smoker's laughing at me. He's like, I'm gonna need them all. LOL. You know it, Mace. I'm gonna need all of them. Everyone. I'm just gonna keep one. That's unacceptable, Colin.
Mace, I got that lemon G for you, brother.
Lemon G. It's time to hit the money ball again. This money ball is pretty greasy.
Oh, that looks good.
That is very
Yeah,
greasy.
it's definitely like I these jars make it hard with the light, the way it shades, and I don't have really a lot of light coming in. Plus, I've been in the garden, so I got like those dirty fingernails that you post a jar pic with a dirty fingernail on Instagram, and you'll have someone like who's never grown a plant attacking you.
Oh
Look at your
yeah.
fucking nail. Look at your nails, you fucking bum. It's like, yeah, it's called gardening, bro. Look into it. What are you wearing? Fucking nitrile gloves the whole time you garden?
How is your garden going? You planted those flowers you said the other week, and some survived, some didn't. So how is that
Yeah,
sort of going?
my hydrangeas are about 75% survival rate right now, growing behind my house. I did plant a bunch of other plants. I planted a sensitive plant, which is one of those fast moving plants. When you touch it, it like closes up. Like I got that plant from my son. He's blown away by a plant that moves that fast and that like noticeable. I got a beautiful fire stick, an Indian fire stick, which is, I don't know why they call it Indian because it's from Africa, but it's a crazy type of jade. I've been planting plants. What else did we plant? I feel like we've been out of control. I did like 10 different transplants the other day. They were all different flowers. One was like a mint type flower. One was this beautiful long trumpet shaped pink flower that the hummingbirds, it's really small. It's like the size of your pinky, but it's just, and they bloom for one day and then they just like fall off and the plant is constantly blooming them. What are you showing there, Colin?
This is some lemon mints.
Oh, that's the lemon mints.
Yeah, it's living soil lemon mints. I just pulled it out of this pot back jar here.
Good technique of putting it in front of your face. You really, if you're going to have a background that's blurred or a picture, you have to put whatever you're showing in front of your face or body or it fucking disappears. Watch, move it over to the left.
How's that?
No, like move it away from your face. Boom, gone. Can't see it anymore. Like fuck, that drives me nuts, dude.
Look, here, I'm gonna do the halfway.
Oh, that looks really cool. It almost looks like your graphic behind you is the bud you're sharing.
Let's check it out. But this is really flavorful herb. I have it because I'm shooting photos of it.
Okay.
This is stuff that we have for New York. And then my favorite is actually this here, which is again, this is called egg roll. Egg roll is just super gnarly. It's like it tastes like moonbow with a deeper Chem D note to it. It's really good. It's a biscotti Chem D cross. So really good.
Do you
Really
remember
interesting.
the fatty egg roll guy on Fish Tour on the East Coast in the
Oh yeah.
90s? Because like I just want to shout out the fatty egg roll guy wherever he is in a
The
sea
Jerry
of
roll?
fucking no, this guy was fatty egg roll guy. He had like 20 sauces. He was like the most professional food vendor I had ever seen at a fish show in the mid 90s, right? It was like 94, 95, 96, somewhere along there. But he was on the East Coast. I seen him at a bunch of shows. Shout out to the fatty egg roll guy. In a sea of grilled cheese sellers, the fatty egg roll guy was a blessing. And
Bad burritos and grilled cheese, man. That was a blessing.
I know it was all the burritos and grilled cheeses. So when you could get a fucking huge egg roll with just like dumping sauce on it, all these different sauces, I was like, oh my God, dude, you're killing it.
It was cleaner too, somewhat.
And not softly. Killing it, but not softly.
100%.
Well, I just finished like my son's birthday week. He turned 11 on the 27th. And then yesterday we had a birthday party for him where we went to this giant bouncy castle, this just ridiculous, like an acre of bouncy castles. And man, they played for 2 hours straight, running nonstop. My wife and I were laughing. They looked so beat when they came out of this thing. They were just like, it had been like they had been running an Ironman challenge, like for real. That's what they looked like. They were just like
Exhausted.
exhausted, dude. Such a fun thing to watch. It's hard to exhaust 10 and 11-year-old boys. Like, let me tell you, like they don't exhaust easily. But
Well, I celebrated my birthday on the 28th.
yes, happy birthday, dude. I saw that. Happy belated birthday to Etienne. Only 72 years old young this year. Just
Oh, somebody said, "Oh, you're born in the 1900s." I was like,
yeah. The
"Oh,
late 1900s.
great. No, that's how I'm referred to now. Born in the 1900s." Nah, it was no, it's wonderful. Shout out to my mom-in-law and my sister-in-law for the birthday cards, and just went out with my wife for a nice dinner in San Francisco. Had a nice dinner. So yeah,
What year
yeah.
were you born in?
69.
69. Wow, what a year, man. Holy shit, the summer of love. Of course you were
Yeah.
born in the summer of love.
At the end of the summer of love, right?
Wait, Summer Love was 67. Come on now, get it right.
Oh,
Right.
sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Altamont was 69, right? And it all went
Oh,
Yeah,
together.
geez. The
Woodstock
Yeah,
and
summer of
Altamont.
darkness.
yeah.
The summer of darkness.
Well, it's not known as the summer of happiness, that's for sure. No,
Well, I wasn't born
the
till
summer of
73.
everybody's no longer happy with the Hell's Angels. I think that's what's
Yeah, that was rough, rough action. The interview with Jerry getting on the helicopter and bouncing. He's like, "This is a bad vibe, man." It's like, indeed, it's a bad vibe,
It's got to be a
man.
bad vibe for Jerry to go. It's a bad vibe, man. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
Jerry is all about vibe, and yeah, yeah.
But yet, look at his diet. Like that dude would like go to 7-Eleven at 3 a.m. and like just like crush like the dogs and the corn dogs and the fucking just getting everything he could. Like that's not a good diet. I
Chili
wish
dogs,
Jerry could
Mark.
have done
Chili
chili
dogs.
dogs. Yes, chili dogs. Probably chili corn dogs too, I would say. I don't know. I wasn't there, but I can imagine that it
And
was
wash it down with a
outrageous.
Slurpee. Come on.
Fuck yeah, dude. Slurpees.
And a
Just
pack
for
of
the
Pall
head rush.
Malls.
And a pack of Pall Malls. Oh my God, Jerry, what were you doing? I needed you to stay healthy, dude. But maybe the tortured artist needs to be tortured. Who am I to fucking judge? He brought beautiful music. So, however he did it, I am thankful and I enjoy it as much as I do these dabs. So, I think it's time for, yeah, maybe some Medimac.
Well, let's ask the question. What's everybody puffing on, right? We haven't asked that in a while, right? I guess let's see. What am I actually puffing on? I'm puffing on some of this Rosentic.
Where's Mark got the isolate?
Hardcore OG. So that's what
Mark.
phone only.
Well,
See, this
I
is
like
73 to 159 U. Cold cure live rosin. So,
Nice.
well,
ask a
a little
chemist
bit
a
left.
chemistry question. You're going to get a chemistry answer. Yeah, that's right.
Is that your
Makes sense.
hydrogenated?
This is not. No. Nope. Oh, hey,
So,
Atian, speaking of South Africa, I met her down at CanMed. Her name is Dr. Shiksa Gallo, and she's a research professor at University of Pretoria in South Africa. So she's just wonderful, and she has some really interesting results around prostate cancer. I mean, again, like the more we look into it, the more we find that these cannabinoids are really more effective than some of the anti-cancer drugs that they're giving. So one of the things that she's looking at is how the influence of things like CBG and CBD, some of the non-THC cannabinoids are having on making cancer medication more effective. So yeah, she's very, very delightful. So I met her for the first time at CanMed just this summer, and we're going to start collaborating because she's interested in looking at some of our new derivative compounds, and she would do some testing for us. But looking at cancer, like prostate cancer in particular, which is one of her specialty areas. So
That's
yeah,
the largest killer of men. So yeah, I mean that's yeah,
is
any
that right?
advances
Is
there.
prostate cancer the largest
Prostate
killer?
cancer, it's one of the largest. Yeah, it's huge because it goes unnoticed and it leads to a lot of problems. It's a very common problem in men because that's how nature kills us.
It
Yeah, for
easily
real.
metastasizes, I think.
Yeah, and well, and of course, it's in touch with everything that's important from your colon to your bladder, and it's all right within that region, and any of those will, take you out pretty quickly. So, it's something that, men should always get their, prostate checked, especially over 50, and yeah, but there's a great deal of advances in the science. My father, my biological father, had to have his. I guess it's swelled up to the point where they have to go in and remove part of it, and it was a standard procedure. He lived, for a decade plus after that. So it's. I'd love to, if you're able to share her information, I would love to meet her or introduce to see if we could maybe hook up in South Africa because that type of I love talking to researchers that are doing that type of stuff because the pushing
Yeah,
about
I
the use of
mean,
medical cannabis, these are the types of testimonials we want at the United Nations, right? We want to show, you know, uh, you know, the latest in advances as well as, what is possible and what is happening, right? And there's more than enough world studies on cannabis, but the United States doesn't listen to that, but the United Nations and the other worlds do. So we're not the be all end all here in the United States, is all I'm saying. So
yeah,
we
I
used
just
to
put
be
her
advanced,
LinkedIn.
but right now we had the entire CDC walk out this week in absolute disgust, which, as scientists and as a lay scientist, is fucking absolutely disconcerting beyond all measure. But I respect their decision and why they did what they did, than necessarily kowtow to what they have to deal with, which is a further disbelief and dismantling of science and science methodologies, which has to be just disconcerting to you as a teacher yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I just put her LinkedIn information in the chat, and she's got a interesting YouTube video where she talks about prostate cancer. One of the things that I think of is that not only could cannabinoids be anti-cancer, like once you diagnose cancer, I think there are several mechanisms by which cannabinoids and cannabinoid type compounds can be used to basically fight cancer. But what I believe is that they're prophylactic in a way that cannabis users might be less prone to um, cancer because in the fatty tissues in their body, they have deposited these cannabinoids, which again have this prophylactic. Like I think you've heard this before that CBD is neuroprotective. So what does that mean? So that means what happens is that there's various things in the brain that could basically damage neurons. And what they know is that CBD protects neurons from that damage, right? So a neuroprotective, I mean, and again, that's the government's own patent, right? US 6630507, right? So that patent to me demonstrates medical use and should make the whole plant, not Schedule 1, which is defined by no accepted medical use. So I guess that's, you're finally dividing the English language there is saying okay, it has to be accepted. So what does accepted mean? I guess some, FDA approval process. Well, the U.S. Patent Board, or the Patent and Trade Organization, the USPTO for short, just looked at the data that they had generated. And this is, again, the government's own data. So this was from our taxpayer funded lab in Bethesda that basically generated this information. And when the US Patent and Trade Organization looked at the information, I mean, they don't care about drug policy because an invention is an invention. And the question in that patent was, could you is it obvious that CBD and the other cannabinoids would have this neuroprotective activity? And the USPTO said, you know what? You couldn't predict that based on what was already known about the cannabinoids. Therefore, it's an invention. Therefore, it's a patent. Therefore, the claim in the patent was the neuroprotective properties of cannabinoids. And so right then and there, and that was in 2003, I think when that patent issued, right then and there, they should have removed cannabis from the CSA, right? Because there's demonstrated medical utility in that it's a neuroprotective. So, I mean, ultimately, CBD became the active ingredient of Epidiolex, which is an FDA approved drug. So, right, so it was been evaluated for safety and, its metabolites and its breakdown and everything. And it's, yeah, definitely effective at controlling seizures in difficult to treat epileptic cases. But, again, just going back to this notion of, you know, the government knows that there is medical utility, yet it remains on Schedule 1, which is defined by no medical utility. Even THC, right? THC is in Marinol, which is an FDA approved drug. So how can the plant from which this compound is derived be defined as having no medical utility when we know, and doctors like Chicksa and other people are showing that, here it is, it's basically killing prostate tumor cancer cells, and it's basically it has all of the earmarks of, look, we know we can cure cancer, or at least let's say not we can cure it, we can treat cancer
Right.
with cannabinoids. And
Right.
certainly, like, if you look at like all the different kinds of cancer, whether it's glioblastoma, skin cancer, whether it's here we're talking about prostate cancer, cancer of the pancreas, we know that cannabinoids are effective on all these different kinds of cancer. It's the literature is ripe with this. So, you know, the great thing about Shiksa is that, the kind of work that she's doing, it's almost like we know that this is going to work. We know that this is intuitively obvious. So what she was able to show at her presentation down at CanMed is that, yeah, when you're given like these really horrible things, like the things that they use in chemotherapy, like one of them is called cisplatin, which is basically a platinum metal that's surrounded by this ligand, and it's just super toxic. But it's, again, part of the treatment that you have when you're going through, stage 4 chemotherapy. And so her data was able to show is that you could use a whole lot less of it if you're treating with things like CBC. She was looking at all the odd cannabinoids, CBC, CBG, right? Just because all the other shit that's attached to THC. I think she could also look at THC, but she needs a special license and all that thing. But I mean, when we show that this plant has not just THC in it, but it's got all these other cannabinoids in it and are effective at basically treating cancer. I mean, my God, if cannabis was just discovered today, it would be like deemed the miracle, like, oh my God, how could this one plant not only treat all these different kinds of cancers, but now you're talking about other diseases like suppressive diseases like HIV and other things. I mean, behavioral disorders like PTSD. I mean, there's so many.
Dude, don't forget the best one. It gets
What's
you
that?
high,
What gets you
bro.
high? Yeah.
Like,
Well, you're
yeah.
agonizing.
Well,
You're
and this is
agonizing
it.
your CB1
HHS.
receptor, which we know is medically will have all kinds of
But
effects. You know, we
HHS
were
and the
talking
FDA.
before about collaborating musically, right? So
Right.
when you're agonizing your CB1 receptor and all the musicians in your band are getting high before they practice, now basically they can get down and they could, not have to think about all the pain and all the stress in their life, and you could forget about life for a while by getting lost in the music. And really, that's where the Gestalt thing happens between musicians, is when those barriers are basically lowered. I think that is, I'm not a psychologist, but I think that is affecting the ego in a way, because again, I think a lot of musicians have a lot of ego, and there's like sometimes that ego kind of gets in the way because it's like, oh, you're the lead guitar player, you got to be out in front, and every lead has got to be every note you've ever learned played in every measure, as fast as you possibly can. You need to show the girls out there that you're Eddie Van Halen reincarnated, right? Or you're kind of like going to where you're,
Love your
I don't
analogy.
know what Trey was saying in the Bittersweet Hotel movie, right? He's like, "Oh, I'm coming. I'm coming." I'm like, I'm playing that guitar solo, and it's kind of like it's going through me, and it's not actually coming from me, but there's just like this musical feel that's kind of like just taking it through my fingers and taking it off the fretboard and washing it all over the audience and everything, right? And so that whole experience, I think, can be lubricated by cannabis, right? And there's like a lot of, lore about, again, jazz musicians going back to, Satchmo and even the ones who got really went over the deep end like Coltrane, where again, there was a sort of mental space that they needed to be in to be able to create that music and to create those sheets of sound. And there was something going through their brain at the time that, again, you could never repeat this. That's what Garcia used to say all the time. I could never repeat that if I wanted to because it was just in that moment and it was going through the guitar and through his fingers and then once it's out there, it's gone. And that's why he encouraged the people to come and tape because once they play it that once, it's gone. It's in the hitherland.
But
Yeah.
Anyway.
going off that,
The
FDA
hither.
and now HHS say that medical cannabis it's real. And so we're just waiting on some semantics to confirm, but science has confirmed that it is medically effective. It's just to what extent has to be explored. And I think that's what you're pointing to is
Yeah.
currently there is no floor and there's a very, very high ceiling if researchers were allowed to get in and to actually prove, um, at least the United States, we have to reprove everything because what's been proven in Canada and other places in the world apparently isn't good enough for our science. So, looking to you scientists who are watching to start doing and making things happen in the future because we need the science to be as harmonizing as the music you're talking about, Mark, right? To
Yeah, I
understand.
mean, it's a nonlinear process. And the beautiful thing is that, we're all standing on the shoulders, whether you're talking about science or you're talking about art, you're standing on the shoulders of all those who came before you, right? And kind of like what David Grisman says, it's like gumbo. The more you put into the pot, the more you get out. So the more influences you put in to your science thinking, the more literature you read. I've been fascinated, since that article came out a couple of weeks ago about this new type of chromatography that these researchers used to identify those flavoalkaloids that are in the cannabis leaves. I'm sure you guys saw this paper that came out a couple weeks ago. It was really cool because again, I've been doing chemistry for, oh my God, I've been in the lab since 1982. Someone tell me how many years that's been. It's been a long fucking time. So here it is, man. A cannabis journal article comes out just last week, and I'm learning about this new hydrophilic uh, reverse phase chromatography, which I had never seen before. But I guess it's been out for some time and used in the food industry and flavor industry, but I'm not familiar with this method. So, I'm learning something new after 40 years. And again, this is only made possible because we do have a crystal ball. We have the scientific literature, and we could look into the future, ironically, by looking into the past. Right? See what's going to happen by basically knowing where the current scientific frontier is. So I'm really excited. We're going to write a grant proposal, and we're going to do some work again with Dr. Gallo out in South Africa. And yeah, there are other countries, ATN, that are embracing cannabis and cannabinoid research. And just, it's great that there's a whole new kind of mentality of looking at, what we can learn from the plant and what we can learn in this post-Meshulam era of cannabinoid scientists. Raffi took us so far. He got us to the point where he's like, okay, here's what the active ingredient is. Okay, here's the receptors the active ingredient acts on. Oh, here's the molecule that your body makes that THC mimics. I mean, just think about that. I mean, that right there, he should have won the Nobel Prize for, because not a pharmaceutical company on planet Earth did not look at compounds to impact those cannabinoid receptors as soon as they were discovered. And when you think about the wealth of other receptors like TRPV1, that's the capsaicin, PPAR2, and all these other unknown receptors that we still are going to figure out in the years to come, that Meshulam's work certainly is a body enough to describe what should be rewarded as a Nobel Prize in medicine.
So why do you think that doesn't happen, right? Like if we want to get behind these people and their
Yeah.
science, but then we see them ignore something like that or not acknowledge that this system even exists for so long. What is that?
Yeah, so Marcus, so the year before he died, he was nominated for in the process that the Nobel Committee, which is a committee of academics in Sweden, right? Because the prize comes out of Stockholm, right? Because Alfred Nobel was a Swede, actually, like DuPont, he came up with explosives like TNT, right? So blowing people up, merchants of war and all that kind of crap. But anyway, Nobel's basically left their money to this prize, right? They give out the Nobel Peace Prize. There's a Nobel Prize in chemistry. There's Nobel Prize in medicine and in physics and economics and mathematics and whatnot. So yeah, why hasn't that been awarded? I would say that, yeah, there is a lot of bias, even in the scientific community against cannabinoids and cannabis.
Mm.
But there is
So
no
here's a question,
denying.
though. Here's a question. Let's talk about that bias because that's frightening. That bias blinds them to truth, but they're scientists who are telling us to trust the science because it's the truth.
It's the dark side of it though, right? Like, you have this wonderful set of minds out there, right? That are a group of people come over top of and they suppress, right? And it's, it's
Well, I think it's a continuum. I think it's an ongoing way, and I think what this was in reference to the Trump administration and all that, but we were talking about the what Dr. Martin Luther King used to say, which is that the moral arc of the universe does bend towards justice, right? Meaning that it's kind of like a long play, and you'd like to think it does with cannabis too, but Colin,
Ooh.
it's amazing when you go to NIH
Yeah.
reporter.gov and you look at the millions of dollars that the NIH is now spending on cannabis and cannabinoid research. And it's no longer exclusive, just funded under NIDA, which is National Institute of Drug Abuse. But what I could even tell you, even within the NIDA, a lot of those studies are cannabis as a replacement for opiates and opioids. And so people are studying that and they're getting money from the government to study those. But now you see like the National Institute of General Medicine, and you see the national institutes that study stroke and brain disorders. They're all funding cannabinoid stuff now. So I think like Shiksa and like other people who are out there in the world now studying, you don't necessarily need a Schedule One license. And what you find, Colin, if you go to the International Cannabinoid Research Society meeting, is most of the work is not around phytocannabinoids. It's mostly around endocannabinoids, right? Mostly on, derivatives of anandamide and 2-AG. And there's a lot of people who are now looking at synergistic effects. So I think the one thing that the cannabis plant teaches us, that Meshulam teaches us, is that the activity isn't in a single compound, it's in multiple compounds, right?
Yep.
And the FDA has even recognized we don't have a system to regulate multiple compound actives. That's just
Right.
not what we do. We take a single active ingredient, right?
Right.
Double blind placebo. You take it through and you look at, does a statistically significant swath of the population that has that disease, if they take that, again, double blind placebo, so neither the clinician nor the patient knows whether they're getting the drug or not. It's double blind, right? So you
Yep.
don't know. And that way, when they wash out the data at the end, you could say, okay, a statistically significant portion of the population that gets this disease, when they take that drug, they're alleviated by it. Like what is the therapeutic index on some of these drugs? Again, if you talk to some of the doctors, again, when they do these clinical trials, Colin, you have to like look at like patients that have pre-existing conditions and overweight patients and patients who are on 5 different meds, patients who are on 3 different meds, 2 different meds. You just run the
Pharmacology.
gamut of everything because what they're putting into their body is going to affect whether or not that drug is effective. And the other
Right.
thing, and I'll shut up after this, I know I've been doing a lot of talking, is that like with cannabis, I think that like I'm always like a little reluctant when I talk to like folks in my parents' generation. So my dad just turned 89 years old, knock on wood. My mom's 88. They're all still alive. But they take a lot of FDA meds and like how those FDA meds are going to react with like a gummy or something like that. You don't know. You really don't know. And like when I give advice to older folks about using cannabis, you always say, yeah, start slow. You could always take more. You can't take, or you could always, yeah, you could always take more. You can't take less. But like having doctors actually have cases to where you could say, okay, I could prescribe an opiate because that guy's got back pain, but you know what? I'll encourage him to try cannabis first. So therefore, if cannabis works to treat their pain, hey, great. Now we don't have to worry about another opiate addict, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think,
Anyway, I'll shut up.
well, no, there's like so much stuff that you drop that's should be unpacked for listeners. Like
Yeah.
one is the and I'll break it down to this like simplistic analogy because I worked with Thomas Jefferson University and the Lambert School a little bit, and I tried to explain to them that you're used to a circle, a single monomolecular substance that you've run through trials. It's got all the things that Dr. Mark mentioned. There's pharmacology mixed in. There's people educating you on what the adverse effects are if you add other compounds. So it is very much a circle if we're going to break it down into a shape. And what cannabinoids are and all what comes along with it is really kind of a hexagon where there's a bunch of different touch points that when you put it in front of these types of regulatory bodies and individuals that don't understand those touch points of what cannabinoids and the constituents around it can do, they just immediately get lost and they get scared and they say it's scatterbrained or they're, they just don't understand it. So I think the most important thing right now is like it's great that to hear that the funding is now being taking a little bit more seriously at this point, and they're actually looking at this in a more serious way. But it's concerning at the same time that they're not looking at phytocannabinoids, right? Um,
Yeah, well, there's opportunities there. Well, there's people like me. So I'm NIH funded, and what we look at are derivatives. So we take the phytocannabinoids, we do
yeah,
chemistry like hydrogenation, and it's like, oh my gosh. So now we've made new compounds. That doesn't mean that they should be in a vape pen or a gummy. That means we should study the impact that those chemical transformations have on like THC. And so like with HHCA, for example, Colin, this is really cool. So what we found early on was hydrogenation of the cannabinoids improved their anti-tumor efficacies, right? That was just a one-off. We did that study just to basically get data for the patent. But when we hydrogenate, so check this out. This is really cool. So when we hydrogenate THCA, right, we make a new stereogenic center in the molecule, right? It could either be R or S. So we make the mixture of R and S HHCA, right? So we've now done chiral chromatography to separate those two. And what we find is that the S isomer is more active than the R isomer, right? It's totally fucking cool. I mean, no one's ever done this before. So it's like, and the cool thing is we have data to show that first of all, hydrogenation improves the activity
hold on,
of
before
killing
you
can
explain what explain what the two differences are for the listener, because I think that's really important.
yeah, so if you look at the chicken wire, the chemical structure of THCA, you'll see a double bond in that north ring, right? So what we've done is we've hydrogenated that double bond. So we've added hydrogen to that. And when we do that, we create a new stereogenic center at the 9 position. And so there's a 9R isomer of HHCA and there's a 9S isomer. And what's known with so HHCA is like THCA that when you thermally heat it, it loses the carboxylic acid, and so HHCA turns into HHC. And what's known for HHC, so Meshulam did this work and reported back in 1971 that the R isomer of HHC is more active at CB1 than is the S isomer. And actually, there's a new publication in the literature from Neil Garg at UCLA. This just came out like a couple weeks ago, and the very famous calculation chemist Ken Hauk, who's also a professor at UCLA, is on it. So it's so cool. I mean, here's UCLA, right? A powerhouse university here in the United States, very well-known legacy chemistry department there. And he's basically showing that, yes, computationally, these two isomers are different from one another. So where THCA has got a flat, basically no stereochemistry, hydrogenation now introduces stereochemistry there. So what we found is that, so we're looking at, so my colleague is an immune cell, T cell biologist. And so she studies cells that are part of the immune system. And so one of the cells that she looks at is something called a JERCAT T cell, which are basically leukemic T cells. They're T cells that have gone leukemic. And they're used to study variety of different cancers, but they're also used to study autoimmune disorders as well. So it's kind of like, well, we want to screen against those cells because we can get a lot of information. So Colin, check this out. What we find is that our hydrogenation improves on the killing of those cells. So at 10 micromolar, we're seeing like 70% dead cells with our hydrogenated compounds, but at 10 micromolar, THCA is not active at all. what we found is that when we separate those two isomers, that the S isomer, which is one of the isomers, is more active than the R isomer. We wouldn't have known that until we did the tests. So what we're interested in doing is like looking, so we're going to take those two separated isomers now and send those to Dr. Gallo out in South Africa, and she's looking at a couple different um, types of prostate cancer cell type assays. And we're going to see again, does hydrogenation improve on the activity, anti-cancer activity? I mean, that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in the pharmaceutical application of these things, not, to make another vape pen or some recreational product, right? There's enough that the cannabis has got that taken care of. THCA does that just fine. But I think the chemical manipulation of these phytocannabinoid compounds might make the new drugs of the future. That's what we're hoping on.
No, it's wonderful. It's amazing, man. I'm glad. Thanks for pausing with me and helping explain it to everyone listening, because I think it's important that everyone understands what it is. So
Making new molecules, it's a lot of fun. That's what
Oh,
chemists do.
I gotta go.
Caleb just popped back in. Oh, you taking off, Colin?
Yeah, I gotta go to the beach here.
Woo!
Memorial Day thing, but love y'all. Thanks for a great conversation. Mark, thanks again, man. Marcus, always big love, man. Etienne, much love, man. Caleb.
Yeah, Colin, let's make a trip up to Canada when Marcus is in Quebec, right? Let's do
I
that.
can't, I'm not gonna be able to do it this because I'm going to California this week, but I'd love to come up anyway, see Adam, hang out with you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
You
Well, you
know,
got a place to stay here always. So,
cool. All right. Well, much love, everyone. Peace, everyone.
see you, Colin.
Peace, brother. Thanks for popping in. Welcome back, Caleb.
Mm.
Caleb's
Hey, Caleb. How
Y'all
you
want
doing,
to see
buddy?
this art wall?
of
Doing well.
course.
There's a string cheese incident sound check going on right now.
Oh,
Nice.
really? String cheese is playing. Shit.
So it starts over here. And you see each person's got like 10, 15 feet to work with. There's all sorts of designs. The event is just getting started here. Walking tour.
Nice. Caleb's got a laminate. He just flashes that guy, right?
It's just like I'm a VIP. I'm just bringing my hash church crew through.
It gets too loud. There's a cool map that shows where everyone's come from. I met this guy that's here all the way from Virginia Beach who flew in just for the event.
Sick. That's awesome. I wish I was there, man. Greg was bugging me. He's like, come on, man, you got to make it. It's the end of August. I'm like, oh, fuck. If I get my waiver.
What I want to show y'all, though, is since this is like a DCC licensed event, what I'm showing you here is the area where alcohol is allowed, right? 21 plus zone. And then there's the stage. And then there's this fence between, right in the middle of the 21 plus zone that the cannabis side is over there, and this is the alcohol allowed side. And the fence goes right up to the middle of the stage here. So it's actually kind of interesting in that sense.
Really making you choose.
Yeah. And the thing about that is, on the side where alcohol is allowed, just like every other humble event, everybody's smoking. So you're actually choosing between smoking and drinking, or just smoking. The only rule that's being enforced is people walking here into the 21 plus cannabis zone are not allowed to have alcohol.
Interesting.
So as you can see, even this early, before the music is playing, it's completely dead in the cannabis zone. And so all the people, all the licensees that have paid to be here are getting significantly less foot traffic because of the logistics of obeying the rules of having a public cannabis consumption event. This is just like a perfect example of the bureaucracy and the fact that the logistics are still being worked out. Like last night, an artist was up there and he was saying, I'm gonna go out into the crowd. And then he looked at the two crowds and he said, I'm going out into that crowd. And then everyone on the cannabis side fucking walked over to the other side. Like, why is this happening?
That is hilarious. So they literally have a fence right down the middle. I would be so happily staying on the cannabis side with nobody else.
Yeah, I'd be bringing a crowd with me.
Yeah, you can be right up, you know. And
This
no one to
looks much
compete
more
with.
pleasant than Burning Man does, right?
Oh,
Oh my God,
absolutely.
dude.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's actual clouds.
Yeah. Fun time. So speaking of music, Dr. Mark, what you were talking about earlier about how, you know, there's all that literature about jazz musicians and, you know, that default of band players playing together. And, you know, I've read that they say specifically, like, they feel that there's more time between the notes, right?
Yeah.
And I feel for sure that, like, there's certain types of cannabis that are more conducive to that than not. And especially during the jazz era, a lot of those imports of ganja would have been more equatorial flower, right? Like I could, even now without any testing of those samples, just kind of guesstimate that they probably had more THCV in them than the standard weed that you'd find at a concert nowadays because of all the hybridization that's happened. And, you know, like, so the type of weed that musicians seem to like, especially for writing, let alone performing, maybe those are two different classes there, but I definitely feel like those more upper, longer flowering things seem to be correlated with musician preferences, specifically for that creativity, flow state, all that sort of stuff. And, you know, THCV, CBG content, certain terpenes, certain other things that we haven't quantified yet might be the source of that whole plant high that we for sure aren't getting elsewhere.
Totally.
So this is just the beginning right now. That's why there's not many people around, but this will pack up and fill up with folks.
Yeah, it looks to be earlier on in the day.
String season isn't on until like 6, but this is officially open right now.
How many people do you think were there yesterday?
You know, I was able to. A lot of the students are volunteering, so the people that were literally checking people in, I'd say like a good 3-digit number. But you know, not as big as other concerts, but venue-wise, this is so beautiful. So just right by the water here. And it's also funny because there's this the smallest licensed bar in California apparently is on a boat, and they keep driving the boat right down here, and then all the people drinking beer on the boat will wave at all the people here that are smoking. It's kind of funny.
Interesting. So you have kind of a gathering of a bonding of the alcohol and tobacco via the boat and land, but the stage has a clear division with a fence that goes right down the center, allowing no bonding between the cannabis and alcohol folks. Oh, he bounced. That was funny. I was having a hard time understanding that. Like, why would they do that down the middle of the stage? That's interesting. I mean, I get it, like a 3 foot or a 4 foot, but like a 10 foot, like a giant, like right down the middle.
That's a first. But
Yeah, I guess so.
hey, got to separate those alcohol people. They get violent.
I've heard that before, actually.
Well, Jack used to say that at things. You know what happens when 5 drunks get together, right? They get into a fight. What happens when 5 stoners get together? They start a band.
Yeah. And order a pizza.
Of course, you gotta eat. Can't be
Gotta have the
savage.
pizza. Gotta have the pizza. Caleb's
He's back.
He's back.
I keep accidentally hitting a button that kicks me out. But
It might be the cannabis.
it might be the cannabis. This is cool. So in the section that is all cannabis, so you can make purchases, and all the licensees are doing like discounts because they don't have to pay one of the middlemen. And if you look at these menus, it's actually, this one's awesome. I want to show it off because there's plenty of CBD flower. Canatonic, Ringo Gift, Canatonic, Ringo's Gift, a Harlessu. And this is also where you can get half ounces of whitethorn rose for $40, which is definitely the best price for that on the
From
legal
Huckleberry Farms?
market. From one of their partners that has the exact same cut.
Wow.
So there's a picture of the whitethorn rose growing. And pretty much every booth, the farmers brought some fresh fruit from their farm to share as well.
That's awesome.
It's apple season.
It is apple season.
That's a nice touch. Some apples, some cucumbers, some whatevers. Something yummy. Humboldt County.
County is Jerry Savage Farms. I'm on Hash Church right here, showing these people around the cool flower. So these are all got minor cannabinoids in them. Blueberry.
They're on Hash Church too. THCV.
Citrine Dream, the 1 to 2 THC CBD. This one right here, 2 to 1 CBG THC. Cool stuff is these right here. I think that one goes 10-12 weeks. This one 10-12 weeks. They have one that's 16 weeks. And right here, wanted to show everyone this.
There you go.
These are the pearls.
The pearls.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
looks like some Grinspoon or some 26-week haze.
Yes. So
Unbelievable. Love me some haze.
I'm getting cotton mouth just watching this. Jesus Christ.
It's gonna be so good.
Just so many different booths you can boot around to, man. And I actually like that there's not 10 million people around. Like I would like to be at this event early.
Yeah, you could talk with any of the farmers, and it's not just the farmers that are here. There's also a lot of breeders, and it's funny because the breeders can't be here in the legal cannabis zone because they're not technically licensed.
Oh.
So, actually, there's one. Some of them,
James?
they have to decide which side they go on, yeah. But a lot of the breeders are actually out here in just the general zone.
All
And there's
right.
even some farms.
Everyone's
Also,
got
I
their
can make
10
that
by 10
choice.
booth. It's awesome.
Little.
Everybody's
It's always
represented.
one of these.
Gotta get a shot with Willie.
Woo! Canna
Canna
Country
Country.
Farms. What's up? How you doing? I'm doing well, man. I just showed these people on Hash Church the pearls.
Oh yeah.
These
Yeah.
people. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, you can't hear
What's
right
up?
now, but this is Dave Perkins with Buddy Laro.
Oh, it's word. That's what's up.
Shit, I want to see some haze.
Yeah, dude, love to see some haze.
Yes.
Look for a
Haze.
funny hat. Yes, we want
Ah,
to see haze.
Dude, does the
Absolutely.
bear
Band-Aid,
shit in the
Durban
woods?
Poison.
Oh, Band-Aid.
All right. Oh
Oh,
man,
shit. Dude.
that looks beautiful.
Yes, please.
Dude, you gotta grab his number for me, dude. I want to invite him on Hash Church another time to come share hazes.
No, absolutely. He needs to come on Hash Church to talk hazes. We'll make it happen.
I got Band-Aid haze hatch too.
He's got Band-Aid haze hash too. That's right. I showed that actually at the beginning of the episode.
You did.
Yeah,
That's the
yes,
homie
yes.
that was giving it away.
That's the homie with the Band-Aid haze hash. Yes.
Yeah.
So definitely the
Righteous.
right crew
Righteous.
for these people. All
That's
right.
awesome for these people. That's great.
These connoisseurs. That's what these people that are listening are, you know?
Absolutely. There's a couple
Reborn.
300 of us.
Yes.
Alpine.
Alpine Sea Group. Y'all have seen this, you know?
That's just beautiful.
Oh, yes. Happy Dream Genetics.
Happy Dream.
Yes, they're a very popular fan of this, I heard.
Yeah.
And then here we've got Tamara, Heal Thyself. Ask us about our bulk compliant hemp, CBD, CBD.
Bulk compliant. We got that bulk compliant, yo.
Compliant. Trinity Alps. Lots of people bringing plants to show off because this is technically just hemp, right? Still.
Yeah, right.
Ghost dance. Just good serving them. Yeah. How you doing?
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Chris, I don't know if you remember me. You came and visited the Ghost Dance.
Yeah, with Mojave and Rob. It's fun.
How you doing? I'll be by later. I'm good.
What's up, Chris? You're on Hash Church.
Let me see if I can
Remove my thingamajig. Yes. I'm on Hash Church right now. If you wanna.
Oh, you're on a call. Sorry about that.
No. Ah. Here we
It's on
go.
the podcast. Caleb's our man on the ground. He's boots on the ground. Caleb's hitting the events. He's fucking
y'all here?
interviewing people.
Yeah,
What's up,
can hear
dude?
ya. Can hear you.
Technical
We
difficulties.
can,
That's
we
okay.
can hear.
We can hear you.
They just can't hear us. But we could hear you. I think the headphones only
My
have one
bad.
microphone. That's okay.
You're fine. We can hear you.
Yeah, we're happy you're just sharing, man. Now we can't hear you. Right? Am I losing my mind, Etienne? Are we
No,
all?
no, I can't hear him. No, he's on mute. No, he's
Okay,
muted.
we have an asset on the ground. Vermont Skunk just said in the chat, we got an asset on the ground. He's probably over by the haze hash. If you could track him down, just follow your nose. Terpenoline,
It always
perfume.
knows.
The nose always knows, man. Oh, the end of a long summer, you know, my son going back to school in a couple days, me going away on a trip, it all just starts back up. And in like no time, it'll be colder, the snow will fall, Whistler will be a reality. Just like that, I'll be snowboarding as often as I possibly can this winter. So stoked. Been taking good care of my body, been lifting weights 3 times a week, squats and bench presses, and just building a little bit of strength so that snowboarding is a little bit easier instead of a little bit harder each year. Because it doesn't have to go in that direction. Ah, yes, the Celine Dion terps. That's funny. It is bizarre that Selena dying is such a close, like.
Right?
Oh, I've got her last album, the Selena dying. Yeah.
I only have her greatest hit.
Her greatest hit. Yeah, I took her greatest hit at the Emerald Cup with Johnny from the Huckleberry Farms. Are you there? Nice, OG Brick. Keep lifting. Take care of yourself. Get stronger, not weaker. They say leg strength and foot strength becomes very important as you get older. You know, the toes and the feet and the legs. If they can't hold you up, you fall down. And if you fall down, you break your hip. And if you break your hip, that's tough. Tough to overcome that when you're older. By the way, Dr. Mark, incredible that your dad is 89. I was thinking about that. That is 44 years longer than my father lived. So you are blessed, my friend.
I am. Oh,
It's amazing.
I'm really lucky
I'm,
to still have both my parents on
I'm
this
stoked
plane.
for you. That's pretty incredible. What a cool
Yeah.
experience to get your parents to
There
grow
is.
old and you're still around and they get to, I mean, my goodness, when you live to that kind of an age as well, as long as you're not doing this new age, like don't have kids till you're 50, um, grandparents used to meet their like great grandkids and sometimes even their great great grandkids, which is wild. That's like nowadays you're lucky to meet your grandparents. It's like my mom had me when she was 52.
Yeah, I met my great grandmother, right? That was,
Wow.
she was in her 90s. I remember she was in her in her bed, but that was an earlier memory. But yeah, I mean, Dr. Mark, your kids got to meet your grandparents, whereas Bubble Man, that was not to be in the cards for you.
Well, it half and half was. So my daughter and my son met my dad, but they were little, like
There.
3 and 2, or if you know what I mean, like they were super young. The last
Not
time
enough to
it
form
was
any
around.
memories, right?
Yeah, not enough to form any memories, but I got the memories and I got to be there. I got a picture with my dad, myself, and my son Tosh, so 3 generations. But Tanner never met, any of them. He never met my wife's father. He never met my father. He never met my stepmother. But he has the 2 grandmas. So you just gotta be appreciative to have what you have, and yeah, it's all about gratefulness. If you're grateful, you win. With whatever you have. If you're upset and ungrateful, well, then you lose. Don't let someone steal your peace over simple things. No, it's hard sometimes, I'll tell you. I don't pretend to be the master of that, but one dab closer every time. Just like, oh, need another little dab. Little dry sift that I put in a little container that like took on the shape of the container. It was in here. I'll put that back in there. Actually, it fits so good. And maybe I have so many other flavors, but none of them are here. I only grabbed 3, but I have like 11 other different flavors in my freezer out there that I guess there's lots of time. No need to be insane, right? Not sure if I'll go all the way till 1 o'clock today. Might call it a little bit earlier today. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I do have an interest in curating a couple of shows. It would be good to maybe curate a veteran show, Etienne. And it would be good to curate another science show, Dr. Mark. And it would be good to curate that glass show. I think those 3 shows could be well received. Give
Yeah,
you a
I'm
nice
thinking like a
audience.
doctor's show. I've met a couple doctors now, and maybe we could get Shiksa and a few other practicing physicians to come on and talk, you know? I think that
Sure.
would be a
I
great
I
show.
also want to bring on. I have a kind of an interview of 200 questions I'd like to do of you, Marcus.
Oh yes, I remember. That's right. You want to do that on Hash Church anytime, really, Etienne. Let's just pick the day and we'll hammer it out.
Yeah, yeah.
And Glass Church, that idea is a great,
That one, very much looking
yeah.
forward to.
Yeah, I think it's a great story. It's intertwined with hash and dabs and consumption. And I think the same way it's important to focus on, oh, I learned about this and I learned about that in the growing aspect. I learned about genetics and how to hunt genetics and phenotypes. And I learned all these important aspects in order to preserve, or sorry, in order to produce and express more volatile organic compounds. Well, on the flip side, it's like how you consume them is like a big deal. It decides how those flavors are perceived. And I can definitely tell when you have as many different smoking devices as I have, and I probably have 20 of them just on my desk here. They're all different with the same resin, even sometimes at the same temperatures. They just don't preserve or release these compounds the same. They do it super differently. And when a certain heat is a little hotter in one type of surface and it blasts out some monoterpenes that creates a flavor profile that's underneath there that you don't taste when you taste like maybe the monoterpenes first, or I don't really pretend to explain exactly what's happening, but as I read my scent book, thanks to Jeremy Plum for the Secret of Scent book, that is, there are some people nerding out in the world on scents, and they're not just cannabis people. I think that we can learn the most about the chemistry of cannabis through that pathway of sensory scientists, scent specialists.
Yeah. And that's your 2 cents.
And that is my 2 cents, and it rhymes with sense because it is sense. It all makes sense. Have another dab. And shout out to Puffco and the Press Club for sponsoring Hash Church as always. We appreciate you both. You guys have been awesome. Press Club's given away all sorts of amazing gifts. They must have given away at least 8 to 10 packages that they've shipped to Hash Church listeners. So thank you guys for that. And thanks to Puffco. I know Puffco has like a new product coming out in September, I think. Not sure what exactly it is, but we may do a little unveiling of that product here on Hash Church with the panelists. We'll see how that goes. So thank you guys. Yeah, I think a little early today. I'm going to take my son out. It's one of the last days before school, but I do want to thank everyone for showing up for another episode of Hash Church. We got some special ones. If you guys have any ideas, you want to send them my way, I'm always down. If it's an idea that involves a person that's never been on Hash Church, it's best if you can connect me with that person. It's a little bit more work to have to track them down. But if you want to help and inspire a show or two, I know Caleb's got some good ideas as well. We're always down to help curate some new shows. So give me a shout at bcbubbleman at icloud.com. In the meantime, may the full mount bless your bowl sooner than later. May you be stoned as fuck as often as you can. Peace, everybody.